Hello there, everybody, and welcome to Quack and Smite League Season 11, this time with the Abyss Division. My name's Judas Priestley, joined today by the one and only Zats, and we will be bringing you King's Court versus the Food Fighters. We are 3 weeks in to this Draft League season, but it is still all to play for.
And thank you very much for that introduction, Judas. I'm really excited to be here. This is my first Quacken cast. This is Abyss. This is the tippity top. And frankly, I'm expecting some real fireworks today. We've got two teams that I believe lost 2-0 last week. We're also in a really interesting time for Smite right now because elephant in the room, Smite 2's around the corner. There's no Pro League this year. And that means the meta at the moment feels really fluid. It feels like you can justify anything anywhere. And that means I'm expected to see some niche little cheesy little picks that are going to be really fun to watch and cast.
Indeed, it is the absolute wild west of a Smite meta, and it's sometimes the most fun. So let's see exactly how this one goes down as we head into picks and bans for this first game. Now, for anyone who is not totally clued up in the meta right now, I'll give you a quick rundown on the things that we have actually been seeing, at least in terms of Quacken. But there's been lots of shakeup, particularly in the solo lane, where there's a bit of a disagreement right now over whether Guardians are better than Warriors and just what's a bit more reliable. We've also been seeing, outside of Kukulkan and specifically Toth, not really many mages in the mid lane. There's been a lot of these physical ADCs going to the mid lane, and actually, yes, reflected already by the King's Court bans, with Armus and Carb and Chiron taken off the table. It just leaves so much that could possibly be picked.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of these kind of not disagreements, but no one's really quite sure. We mentioned about solo lane. I'm sure we'll see that a bit later on, but especially in mid, really anything is on the table. And things like Transcendence and Fail Not have been nerfed a little bit, but they're still very strong items. And it is lending themselves to these ADCs in the mid lane, and particularly as we see the Marty locked in first. I think this is a real. It's not really a sleeper pick anymore because this thing's really strong. Great poke, just like any other traditional mage would have. Scales really well into the late game. You can even get some crit in there. You have lots of cooldown reduction on offer on a whole ton of items. Mid lane items are just stacked right now. And as a result, we are seeing a lot of these mid lane ADCs. But interesting to note, now that most of them have been banned away, there isn't really another one to really compete with the Marty. So I'd expect to see a mage on the side of the Foo Fighters.
Yeah, it is tough to see what the Food Fighters do take. However, they do still have the option of that Toth. Has still been left open, so we might have to see them go that way. Or maybe they'll bring something completely different. But very interesting to me to see Hachiman not prioritized by King's Court over the Marticarus. They knew exactly what they wanted. They definitely wanted this Marty, so they've taken it away. But it has left open this Hachiman, which we've seen just be such a reliable ADC pick for the better part of about 6 months now.
Yeah.
It's been just that god that can kind of do it all. No matter what you need it to do, it's all there. And smartly, the Food Fighters hold off on that mid lane pick, not going to commit to it yet. But that somehow, we are 3 picks into this already. No Bake Kujira whatsoever.
Yeah, I feel like the back has fallen off a little bit. I kind of think that we never actually saw the peak of Bake performance, which is actually, in my opinion, in the support role. I think Bake solo certainly has a lot of potential. The ability to run down a backliner late game is incredibly strong. We're not even talking about the early game, the massive lane pressure that you have. But the reality is, I think with the fact that we are seeing sometimes these 4 physical comps with these ADCs in the mid, it does kind of make it difficult to run at the back line because, again, you're seeing a lot of mobile hunters. You're seeing hunters that can build these, heart seekers and fail nots that all have a pen built into their kits and into their items. So it makes it really difficult to dive as a Baki Kujira. So I think naturally the whale has fallen off just that little bit, but I still think it's a strong pick into the right comp. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do see it at some point.
Well, if we're learning anything right now, it's that Guardians are considered to be very strong by both teams. 3 Guardians already in just our top 5 selections. It's not very often that we see a Guardian dominated meta, but right now that just seems to be the way of it. And of course, the King's Court, pretty simple in what they're going to do. They want this Fafnir in the support role, and they're going to put this Jormungandr in the solo lane. Very straightforward, but that does mean that what they pick for either their ADC or mid role, because they could still put this Martikris as the ADC, but it just leaves the food fighters guessing, right? There are so many gods that they could potentially pick in this next round of picks for them that I don't know what you ban here as food fighters, but what they have discovered, what they've searched the god pools at, and they've found the other mid lane potential ADC, and it is actually Neith. Now, there's been lots of talk of Neith being one of the best gods in the game right now, but how do you think she stacks up at the moment?
I mean, look, what you're trying to do with Neith is basically get a one shot off of an ult in the late game, and that's all you're trying to do. Uh, there's certainly viability there. You can build Bluestone or Mannequins; both are very good on Neith. I think it is a toss up between the two at the moment. I don't think one is particularly strong over the other. Her wave clear is good, but obviously she's got the problem of her leap away is very predictable. And again, if you've
Yes.
got the right character, a Fafnir could easily jump after you. Just hold your stun, force the jump, and then it's so easy to chase down and lock down underneath before she ever gets her ult off. And that's going to be key. You need to make sure you're taking engagements and trying to take down the Neath before the fight has even begun. Because if you're fighting, frontliners, if you're fighting their jungler and Neath is not on the map, then you need to be worried because Neath can just do 50% of Squishy's health in the late game easily. So you need to be wary of that. But if they, as I say, if they're able to get on her early, maybe shut her down in the laning phase, we'll see what jungler they pick for that. I do think it can be quite easily countered, which I'd expect to see at this level of play.
Of course, yeah. And there could possibly be something like it, a Wheelix being banned out. We're seeing a lot of focus on jungle bans here. It actually does appear that Food Fighters skipped a ban. So the feeling like the jungle pool was already going to be ripped to shreds. They're just going to try to leave a little bit more. We've seen a lot of a Wheelix lately, so I wouldn't be too surprised if King's Court go for it. I also maybe wouldn't have hated it to be picked up by the Food Fighters either. It's not going to work against Jormungandr, of course, but that does give you some options. But instead, Food Fighter is going to go for the tried and tested Wukong in the solo lane. Some may call it a boring pick. I might call it a reliable pick.
Yeah, it's reliable, and I think you could argue that on the other side, Jormungandr is exactly a thriller minute god to play against in that solo
Good
lane.
point.
They will probably cancel each other out pretty easily. The Noir is a
Wow.
more interesting pick. It is something we've seen a little bit though. She has gone up in popularity, and we'll talk more about mid builds later. But generally, they are pretty diverse at the moment. Some people are building tablet now. Some people are still swearing by Book of Thoth. We're seeing Chronos
Yes.
Pendant rushes, especially with Conduit Gem back in the meta now. There's lots of different options for this new R, so I don't hate it. And in a way, it's kind of going to do what Neath's looking to do. So they've kind of picked their own version of Neath, which I quite like, really. But it does also mean that Martikris is most likely going to go into that long lane, which I'm not such a fan of.
I'm glad you mentioned that because hear me out here, Zets. I'm going to go on my chair one little
Mm-hmm.
adventure down the forest here.
Okay, I know what you're
Hear
going to
me
say.
out. Marticarus mid,
Okay,
new
yeah.
ADC.
Yeah.
Yo, right? Nua's like
No.
basically like New, she just takes off to the sky for her ult and then lands and dies, like that's what she. I mean, Marticarus only going to do the same thing, it's not that much different. So
Yeah.
I don't know, but what I do like is coming out of the food fight is we have a Bastet being picked up. Bastet, not a god we see too often, but this season actually been a little bit more Bastet sprinkled here and there.
Yeah, I think the build suit. You can go Jotuns, you can go Transcendence. All the mace items you can build into Heartseeker. Suits her down to the ground. Also, particularly good against these immobile characters. Being able to root from range, I think, is actually one of the strongest parts of her kit. It's really
Yes.
underrated as well, especially into a Marticarus who has effectively no way of stopping a Bastet. I mean, you've got to hope that you root the Bastet, but even then, it's so easy to chase down. And it kind of doesn't matter where you put the Nuar, where you put the Marty, because it doesn't matter because Bastet is going to be probably oriented towards this Marticarus, but really, I just think this is free in the early game. Now, it is worth mentioning there's going to be a Ratatoska on the table. Definitely a stronger early game for the Ratatoska, but I think Bastet can cause a bit of havoc here. And actually, if the other backliners can stay, a little bit safe in that early game and neutralize that Ratatoska, Bastet is actually going to have an easier time and could find herself getting actually a little bit ahead in the jungle.
All right, let's just see exactly where this all shakes down. I'm hearing some news it might be spicy, so let's go and taste this spice firsthand as we head on in to game number 1. And it is, give me my chair to pay, please, Zats. It is Noir in the ADC role with Marticarus going to the mid lane. Now that we have that confirmed, does this change any of your analysis?
No, I think it's exactly the same problem. I'll also say you're correct, but this is clearly the best way of doing it. The Marty pressure, you just
Yes.
need to have that in the mid lane. I think Nuar, you are going to want to farm up a little bit more, try and be a bit safer. I suppose Noir is the safer of these two. It's not a good contest, but I do prefer it being this way round. I have to say, but again,
Yep.
I don't think that's going to change what Oreo has to do in the jungle on this Bastet. You need to be active as early as you can. Maybe it's easier to go in the long lane naturally, but we have also seen supports sometimes like to stick in this dual lane for a lot longer than we've seen in the past. I think that could be very beneficial for this new Fafnir dual lane, which just says we're not going to win anything for the next 20
Yeah.
minutes. So, um, in a way, that's making your job a little bit harder because you know they're going to be under tower all the time. So maybe then you're back to the Marty. But there's lots of interesting decisions to be made. But the point is, something needs to happen. You can't just farm passively. I believe you need to kind of try and get a lead to keep up with this Ratatoska in the jungle. If you do that, you're going to be in a really good spot on this basket.
Yeah, like you mentioned, King's Court making a very clear statement here. We do not care about this dual lane. They are effectively sacrificing this lane early and saying we will just come online later on and win it in the late game. That somewhat puts a timer on Food Fighters. Now, not the worst timer in the world. It's not like they've got like Chronos Jingwei or something. Let's hold on. Ooh, a bit of an engagement there early on in the solo lane. Oh, but a bigger
Ooh.
engagement in
There
the
we
mid
go.
lane. Donnie taking first blood. Food Fighters getting off to the fast start that they so desperately needed.
And that is awful, awful news for this Marticarus. And that's just the worst thing that can happen. Now you've given Neath a ton of breathing space. You've given Bastet a bit of a lead. And now Elder on this Ratatoska needs to... Actually, we're seeing even more aggression from Oreo in the dual lane.
Another leap in. Seahost has to back away. Now safe enough, but that just increases the pressure over on this side of the map. This whole time, we've been seeing Elder on this Ratatoska sitting on this right-hand side looking to take an early kill onto Lackeus on this Sun Wukong, and it's just not paid off. And unfortunately, like you said, the Bastet has gotten off to a good, fast start. I was already put pressure on 2 lanes, and I mean, it's just what the Food Fighters needed, and King's Court need to be wary that they don't let this spiral out of control.
Yeah, now it's worth saying that I think Elder has done the right thing to kind of ignore the left-hand side of the map, focus on getting a little invade, getting your farm, because really you're waiting to get that Acorn online. That's going to be key, and it is a bit expensive, that Acorn. So as soon as you get that online, I'm assuming we're going to see 5 Acorns blasting out from that Acorn Blast. That's what I'd hope to see, so you're able to get that stun more easily. Would have done wonders for killing that Somnicron, for example, on that gank.
Yes.
Once that's online, your job is going to get an awful lot easier, especially because you think about the lack of pressure they've drafted in that dual lane. That means that this Hachiman and the Sobek, they're going to be really pushed up. That's perfect for Elder to try and get an ult across the sky and try and get a pick on that left-hand side. That's what I'd be looking for. But of course, you do want to get that Icon online. So I don't mind what they're doing so far. I think Food Fighters, they've lost. They've got first blood, but really they don't have to. They just need to keep an eye on this Ratatoska. We're seeing a bit more pressure in this solo lane now. I mentioned that yes, you can stay on this right hand side of the map, but I don't think you want to take too much farm away from the Jormungandr.
Yeah.
That's too. I'll call them ganks now that we've seen onto Lackius, and neither have come up bearing fruit. So you need to be a little bit wary of that. There is farm elsewhere on the map. Focus maybe on these mids a bit more. But actually,
Oh
that's a
no.
solo kill. And
My
I
goodness.
mean, we were saying don't take the farm away. Now it's gone even worse because Jormungandr has fallen to a solo kill.
Falling to a solo kill that almost wasn't a solo kill. Donnie there fires off the ultimate, but it does not reach in time. Already down is Reka on this Jormungandr. And that's exactly what you didn't need, right? Like you said, Elder was putting pressure over there. They weren't really getting anything from it. I noticed that the first blue buff spawn actually did manage to get picked up by Lakias on this Wukong. And if you're just getting that for free, well, the jungler's right there, and Oreo didn't have to make any movement to defend it, you're really not punishing either this Bastet or this Wukong enough so far. But Elder now has got that Bristlebush Acorn.
Ooh.
It's actually going for the crit rat build. And I'm just going to let you take that one away, Zats.
Okay, pretty obvious that I don't. This is not the optimal Acorn in my point of view. I think on a character who, and actually, nice lot of damage coming out, but that's a Hachiman. Hachiman's been doing this for 6 months now. Yeah, crit on the dash. It means that you have to commit your dart to try and confirm the kill because that's suddenly becoming your main source of damage. Because if you want this Acorn to work, you need to get more crit, and that means your other abilities are going to be doing less damage because you're missing out on, I don't know, maybe a Heart Seeker. Maybe you don't opt into Serrated Edge. You're going to miss out on a key item, and that means that you're going to have to commit using that dash, and that's just so unsafe for me because Ratatoska with the other Acorn, Blacky secures the blue but could die.
Ooh. Yeah, it does secure the blue. Oh, sorry, does not secure the blue. That goes the way of Lakias. Now the retreat comes out from the rest of the King's Court right-hand side of the map. And they are going to look to take their own blue buff. However, Food Fighters want to try and sneak this one away, but too slow is Zombie Billy Mays. You can't pluck that Jormungandr, unfortunately, and just dashes right on by. And that's more of what we need to see from King's Court. If they are going to commit to sacrificing left lane and want to put pressure on their solo lane, even if you're not invading the blue, at least you're getting a kill for it, I suppose.
Yeah, and that's super worth it for me. Luckily, hit the stun this time. We may not always see that, but yeah, it's a good response, and they were able to actually ult away. Reka got a good ultimate there to actually secure their own blue as well. So really, they've mitigated any losses that they had in the early game. They're right back in this. It's what 200, barely 100 gold in it now. Yeah, they're much happier with how things have gone. As we said, as soon as Rat gets that Acorn online, regardless of whether it's the right Acorn or not, it is a big power spike. You're getting a lot of power. You're getting a whole new passive effect from that Acorn. We're going to see more action in the solo lane. Reka, he's a little bit low. Doesn't have the ultimate.
Yeah, no ultimate. And Lakias,
Oh,
the two
missed
of
the
them.
one!
Just trying to go. Oh, doesn't connect. And now, do they have any cooldowns coming through? You could commit the dive. Oh, has a big, fantastic knock-up, though. Now, Reka, do they survive the World Weaver? Yes, they do as well. Not enough damage coming out from Donnie. And that is about all Lakias had. Oh, they've dashed forward. Now, Elder, fully aware of this. No ultimate for Lakias. Now, hold on. Reka needs to be careful here. You don't want to commit too much. Actually hits the stun. Now, misses the dart as well. And has darted in the wrong direction. Now the World Serpent coming out as well. It's a comedy of errors. It's a dash from Lakias. Come on. Someone needs to find one shot, and it will be Elder who actually nails it. Two, a rat and a goose fly from the sky, and a monkey falls down.
Also, Nual used that as well. 3 ults just to secure that kill. Shouldn't have taken that long, to be fair. Lakias
They got him, though.
Already have the Yode's Vigor, so lots of CDR, a bit of sustain as well. It's a tough ask to kill that Sun Wukong. It made a lot easier by the fact that Lakias used that Temperature transformation very early, very preemptively, and that just made it a free kill. Now we're seeing aggression, and the Atchman comes out onto this purple buff. It's huge aggression coming out from the Foo Fighters.
great dash there from Mad Slug keeps them safe from the new War stun, but now it is Joe from New York trying to put out all the CC they have dumped the entirety of the kit, but they're just being locked in place, and the Huntress of Bast providing some extra damage there too. Just combining there are 4 members of the Food Fighters. It is only the support, but it is another kill on the board, and it keeps this game in relative parity, but I'm not quite sure parity is enough for the Food Fighters right now.
Yeah. Look, the thing is, you have to commit a 4-person rotation just to kill the support. And I have to say, Joe from New York did a really good job of body blocking, buying a lot of time, got a good horrific emblem on 4 people. That allowed Sehost on this new art to get out scot-free. And then at the end of the day, that is your job, and you have to be happy about that. There's damage coming out, but you don't really care if you're Mad Slug because you still have a 2-level advantage on this Hachiman. To be expected again. We knew that's where the pressure would be. More pressure onto Raker, but this is a support that's come this way this time, and I'm not sure this is going to go so well for you.
Yeah, it's a 2-on-2 over here, but it looks like King's Court will actually want to back out. They've had enough of this fight. There's a lot of damage onto Raker, and Zombie Billy Mays putting out the damage on the Sobek there. It's a full ultimate charge, and that's all that it needed. And unfortunately there, Raker not respecting the damage. Oh, but Lakias not respecting the rotation from Elder either. And all of a sudden, trading out your solo laners, but getting a kill onto this rat attester again. 3-0 now, this rat, having a great game so far.
And all the early aggression we saw from Oreo has kind of been negated now. As soon as that Acorn, now the Jotun's Wrath is online, Elder has been pretty much solely focusing that solo lane, it's worth saying, but it's been working an absolute treat, actually. Reika, again, caught a little bit out. It's worth saying that Sobek has a really good matchup into the Ormers. Nifo was used, Seho's very low.
Seho's very, very low and continues ticking, though. Another Huntress of Bast from Oreo is enough there to take down. Oh, Jukes at the spit coming through from Joe from New York, too. And now, all of a sudden, we've got a Marticarus caught in the jungle. However, Donnie has been frightened away by the presence of Elder on this Ratatasko, making their first visit to the left-hand side of the map and having at least a small impact. But that's kind of what New World does in the duo lane, and unfortunately, Badstat, unfortunately for them at least, Badstat more than happy to take advantage of it.
I think both teams are feeling the effects of these junglers. I think both are doing their job excellently. And really, it's these side lanes that it feels like they're not really respecting the power of both of these junglers. Overstepping the mark, I think, a couple of times. We're seeing a rotation over once again from Donnie, and this is not the first time that Sunita's rotated over. Again, they might just be trying to bait in Joe from New York, who has used the jump already. Surely the pluck is available, but off the mark, and that'll be the end of that engagement. Again, it's another big rotation, and as a result, you've noticed that Donnie's rotated twice. As a result, Cithro on this Marticarus is 2 levels up in the mid lane. Just because you haven't rotated, and I've always said this, but in the mid lane, put pressure onto Donnie now.
Great bait there from Cithro, made it look like they were making a mistake, but Cithro is able to turn that into a big win. As hold on, back in is Oreo. Cithro nowhere to go. There's a mobile Marticarus, but they have damage output in response, and they shall slap back against this cat, and Oreo gets sent back to base. A big win in the mid lane. Oh, but another solo kill for Lakias in the right lane. King's Court battle back, but Food Fighters aren't going down without a fight.
Yeah, I think Jotun's Vigor may be... Oh, no, it's not Jotun's Vigor. It's actually a Brawler's Beat Stick already online for Cithro. That's a lot of power and flat pen already online. And again, this Marty just straight up has levels on you. And that's a big problem. And the fact that you weren't able to get that shutdown, that's so difficult to deal with because the bait was fantastic. And as a Bastet, you think, well, yeah, but at least I can clean up this rather large Marticarus. But you die as well. It was good rotation once again from Joe from New York, and we're going to need to see more of that as we get into that late game, being able to peel for this backline on a character that doesn't have a lot of control, but I think it's been a really good display so far on this Fafnir. And then, of course, we saw that solo lane kill. I'm going to talk a little bit about the build for Reika here on this Jormungandr. Yep. Already got the 40% CDR. I don't think you need this Chronos Pendant, given that you've already got the Breastplate of Valor. Wingblade slaps on Jormungandr. It negates the passive effect from when you get CC'd, which obviously slows you because you can't get CC'd, and it suddenly makes you slow immune. Matt's like, whoa, gets the archery forced away. Newer ult is available, but it's not going to do that much damage. 3-level deficit in that dual lane. Does have the Book of Thoth finished and the Divine Rune, but that just ain't killing Mad Slug at this stage.
Oh, Oreo looking for an opportunity though onto Sejos. Great use of the fog and will juke out the bounce as well. Oreo takes a ton of damage. There's the ultimate used to negate the Huntress of Bats, but Zombie Billy Mays, we know they've got damage. Great Aegis used, but it's too early and the damage comes right back out. Both supports pick up a kill each, and now in this 1v1, I'd give advantage to the Fafnir, but hold on, Donnie, in more danger. There is so much danger coming their way. Reka not phased by the long rotation over, but Cithro now brawling it out. These two ADCs, even though one of them's a mid laner, and Mad Slug will get one, but will trade it right back again. And here comes Zombie Billy Mays to see what's going on. This is where you can tell that it's an NA game. Everyone wants to fight, but the King's Court come out on top so far.
Can't catch my breath, and neither can any of these players. It is constant fighting. Now, we saw rotation out from Reka, and that's once again going to give even more pressure over to Lakias on the Sun Wukong. But I feel like Cithro got kind of left in the lurch there and didn't really need to happen. I think was clearly doing a lot of damage.
Yes.
Felt that they could take down Mad Slug, who was a very fed hatchman at that stage of the game. They did manage to get the kill, but I feel like you didn't need to lose the Marty as well. Just a little bit slow, maybe on that call, maybe not quite checking your map or something like that. But unfortunately, it meant that you did lose your Martikras, but you took down this Hachiman. That's really important to do at this stage of the game. Will help Sejos a little bit on this Noir as well. But yeah, it's just been all-out action, and really, for all this fighting, it's 8 kills each. The gold difference is negligible. There's nothing really to show between either of these teams. And I'm just trying to think who that favours. And you're always going to favour a team with 2 hunters in the late game, even though one of them, is transitioning into a more ability-based build. He's going into that failment as well, which I don't mind as well underneath. But you've got to favour that. But at the moment, it feels like the King's Court, despite how even this is, it does feel like they've got the slight momentum.
Oh, there's a brawl from the solo lane, has actually spilled over into this mid-area jungle. Now, Lakias is fully aware of the watching Ratatasker above their head. Oh, jukes out the charge prey expertly and uses the dart to finish him off. The purification beads as well. Keeps Elder safe, and that's a great pick for the King's Court to find, but Food Fighters are not going to give it up for free. Now, Oreo bumps into Joe from New York on the way. Gonna give chase now. Is this Fafnir? Senzo the cat packing once again. It's all leading towards King's Court at the moment, and Zombie Billy Mays actually uses the charge prey there to try to secure the buff. Now all the damage coming out from this lurking in the waters, but it's not going to be enough. Good stun coming through from the Fafnir. There's the Chargers, found the escape route. Has this Sobek might actually get out alive somehow, despite all of the chasing coming through. Somehow shall live, and it's just the 1 kill despite all the action. And now the double ADCs of Food Fighters looking at the Gold Fury. Here comes Seahost to steal it and doesn't, but they've committed to the fight because Oreo is here. But here come the cavalry from the King's Court. They charge down Mad Slug, catch him at an angle, but a great use of the ultimate keeps them alive and prevents any more CC. Doesn't get caught, and now under the tower the Neath shall backflip, tries to put out whatever damage they can in response, but there are so many members of the King's Court here to punish them for it. Let's break it down. What the hell just happened?
Okay, so it was actually a really nice play from Zombie Billy Mays, thanks to Breastplate Regrowth, to get out, bought enough time that the 2 ADCs, one with Mannequins, one with Bluestone, they were able to take out the Gold Fury on their own. It's close, but they just about managed to get it. In the end, they only lose Donnie, who's a level 15 Neath. I'm not too unhappy about that. Mad Slug gets out, and that's more important to keep the Hatchiman out of the death column. I think that's more important at this stage. And actually, Mad Slug still taking a fight because backup is here. Woof.
There's backup here, but it's still a 2 versus 3, which is not easy to handle. Mad Slug with the beads, but they're in the middle of so much damage. But up to the sky goes Cithro, and that will seal the fate of Mad Slug. And now the retreat coming through from King's Court, but Oreo knows they need to make something happen. Joe from New York will catch the World Weaver. Cithro will catch Oreo, though, more importantly. And still all 3 members are alive for the King's Court. Now Zombie Billy Mays has some low health busts to stare at, but only can stare, as there is no more that they can do about this. Still can't pluck that Jormungandr, unfortunately. Actually, maybe has the damage. It's going to be close. It depends on the coach. Oh, but it doesn't get it because of the stealth. Reika jukes out Zombie Billy Mays, and that is that. Again, food fighters get punished.
Also, can I say that Joe from New York is having a blinder on this Fafnir?
Absolutely.
I think when Oreo pounced on Cithro, it was a very low health on the Marty. Just need a bit more damage. I think Cithro did take the damage from the pounce, but was able to juke away. And then I think there was a stun from the hammer from Joe from New York, and that allowed Marty to connect with the rest of the damage, get the kill before Oreo was able to jump back and finish off that, or at least get away. Massive plays. These hammers are coming up clutch. Zombie Billy Mays falls to the crit on that dart. You're not too unhappy about that, but yeah, it feels like it's still all in their court, as it were, on the blue side. And now they've picked up Zombie Billy Mays once again. They can now look at the Pyromancer. They've got the Martyr damage. It's going to be huge. They've got Cray on the rack. This objective is free. I think they can start looking at this fire giant if they really want to. There's really no reason why they can't. And although food fighters aren't exactly behind, it feels like they're not really able to impact these fights, and that's partly because Lachius hasn't been in the game yet. Reika has sacrificed a lot of farm to try and impact these fights a bit more, and that's fine, and that's worked for the King's Court. But what it means is that Lachius needs to, when they do eventually rotate, Lachius needs to be really ahead and really a big threat on this Sun Wukong, which they will be with the Jotun's Vigor, with the Transcendence completed, going into the Void Shield. Once that Sun Wukong does turn up, the food fighters are gonna have an easier time. But you wonder, as we said, it's actually the food fighters that are gonna pull the fire giant, because once again, double ADC. The King's Court need to recognise this.
Oh, they give it up! No, it's free!
Wow. They didn't know.
I don't believe it. The King's Court had no idea whatsoever. I think maybe a bit of a damage check coming up from food fighters to see what they had, and they decided that they couldn't go for it. It was totally available for them. And you're totally right, though. I think both teams will be looking at this fire giant, because the food fighters are sort of losing out slowly to King's Court. King's Court, like you said, don't exactly have a lead, but they have established themselves in this game past what would be the weakest phase of their comp. So now, food fighters, that clock is running out. Now Oreo might find that clock running out a little bit, doesn't get the stun, has to take off to the sky, but doesn't. Oreo shuts them down. That is a 6-0 shutdown, in fact, all going in the pocket of Bastet. And food fighters, like we mentioned, still more than in this game.
And it's all because you bought the wrong acorn. I'm telling you, it didn't connect with that stun. That was massive. Maybe it wouldn't have mattered anyway. But I'm convinced that once you have to commit with that dash, and it just puts you in such a bad spot. I will die on this hill. Although I won't die as much as Elder will with this acorn. I'm gonna
only the once. Only the once.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm just so angry about this acorn pickup. Elder's been playing really well. It's unfair, but we'll see how many more stuns come out. I'm gonna stop talking about Elder now. They pulled Gold Fury, the food fighters. Once again, their objective shred is very good, but it's the fight after the fact that I think will be important here.
Oh, it's only Joe from New York here, and they have leapt in. Now, food fighters will get the objective. But Joe is just locked in place. The Fafnir shredded down. The dragon has his wings clipped, and now Seahost is available for Oreo to aggress onto. Look at the damage coming up from this cat, but here comes the rat instead. Good damage as well from the fire shots from Seahost. Now, Cithro is here to dish out their damage. Oreo leaps into danger, leaps back into more danger. Double blink, and blinking away is Oreo. Elder gives chase, gets the dart, and will get the kill. Meanwhile, Cithro has dashed out their damage onto Zombie Billy Mays, and now giving chase is Raker. Tries to find Mad Slug. Which angle will they go? Tries to juke it out, does the Hachi Man. Now they're instead going to step onto this teleport and try to get someone away. Raker locked in. It doesn't manage to get teleported. Mad Slug surely to fall in just a moment. Oh, goes early, but does secure it. Does secure it overall. Now the Food Fighters get the objective, but then they trade 3 for 1 at the meantime. Is it worth it, Tats?
And I mean,
wow.
Joe, I mean, I thought was doing a fine job, but forgot, just like I did, that Elder had just died, so there wasn't really any backup, and then they started going in one by one, but then Elder came back in with the global ultimate, and I think they just traced a little bit too far, Food Fighters, and once you've got that objective, you don't need to keep pushing your luck like that. Just take the little wins, I think, because now it's actually put the King's Court in a good position where they... Actually, I love that. Like he's stealing away, but still is on site here to try and do something. Needs to get on the back line, I think. Needs to get on the back line early and try and disrupt this fire giant before it gets too low. They're still staying on it, but this is going to be close. I don't think you can 50-50 this.
Yeah, it's half HP. Now Lakias making a loop all the way around. Elder spots him out. The Fire Giant's very low, but Zombie Billy Mays is in. Elder's already down. Who will get the big objective? Lakias is here. So comes Oreo as well, and the Food Fighters will steal this one away. Now already dropping down are both members from every team. Everyone is low, but who will fall lowest? Oreo looks to go down next, and Raker will find the damage that they need. Now Cithro tries to retreat, has all the damage. They've got the fire out, though, and ticks down Lakias. Now Donnie sees so many low health buzz in front of them. Raker falls down to Mad Slug. 2 ADCs versus Imani and a Fafnir, who's back on the scene, tries to come in and peel for their own mid laner, and does do so, but now Cithro nowhere to go, gets chased down, gets the Aegis out of Donnie, does a lot of damage to Donnie, is still ticking, but shall survive. The Fire Giant goes the way of Food Fighters, and they take down 5 of the enemy team.
One thing that has never changed in Smite as long as Fire Giant has existed is that you cannot 50-50 Fire Giant like that. If you're starting it, you are essentially fighting a 5v6 because you're taking a ton of damage from that Fire Giant as well. In the end, the Food Fighters do take it, but they didn't start it, and then it was the King's Court that started it. I think they stayed on much too long. Does it stun? Where's the crit? It's going to come out. But actually, he's getting Neathoid here. No, don't
that will land when he lands as well. Mad Slug is in danger. The Ratatasker could possibly kill him. Seahost is here as well. Elder gets stunned out, and they both shall fall. Seahost sweeping up Mad Slug, but Elder again pays the price. It's ever since you said that he's going to die more because of this Acorn. Elder all of a sudden struggling to have the same impact they were having early on. But what happens next? Right, Food Fighters have the Fire Giant, but it's only on one member now. Their main damage ADC, the one with the actual ADC build, is off the table. Can they do any more from here?
Fair play to Elder for that. I don't mind that trade because, again, you get rid of Fire Giant on Mad Slug, and that's the key. Donnie isn't going to be able to do a ton with this Fire Giant, and really, it negates it completely for me. But it is worth saying, Food Fighter's got a dear side. They lost about 4 in response, but they are now they're a decent way ahead in terms of gold, and that is going to make a difference come this next fight. But I think once you've maybe looked to take down some of these tier 2s, ton of damage. That's supposed to be a tank, although it's a very squishy Sun Wukong is working out. No magical defense at all, and it shows.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely shows. And if Seahost is able to connect that, they still have another item to go in the build. So all of a sudden, Cithro in big danger, gets hit by a pluck and a World Weaver. Oreo blinking through, waiting for the cooldowns. Relics go flying, and up to the sky goes Cithro. And now Oreo has to retreat, nothing left to work with. But giving chase is Raker on this Jormungandr. Who do they choose? They select Oreo, and they do take down this Bastet. Now the rest of the chase comes through from the King's King's Court. Lakias sends out Elder, but takes too much damage in response. Trading out again for this rat attack. But there is Sejos putting out the damage on this Nuwa. Trading blows absolutely back and forth. And Mad Slug still wants to go in. Sithro and Raker. Chain lightning between the two of them. It's a quadra kill for Mad Slug, but shut down by Sejos. I'm the real ADC now, says this Nuwa, who shall retreat from Donnie, who can do no more. They've seen everyone fall on the map twice, has Donnie, but keeps this fire giant in pocket.
And the worst thing is Donnie has ult. Can't finish off the job. Oh, it's absolutely tragic. Unbelievable shot, the Shining Metal from Sejos, just to shut down what looked to be a surefire pentakill for Mad Slug. Unbelievable fights. Again, there's just no one that's coming out on top. It feels like it's just a back and forth slog. No one's really able to get the upper hand because everyone's just dead on the map. Look, let's take a moment. Let's breathe.
Yes, take a breath.
We're gonna get into this next fire giant soon. It probably won't be enhanced, although there's going to be a long enough dance that eventually it will tick over. So I doubt anyone's going to be able to sneak it. Look, that's where everyone's going to be eyes on. There's still tier 2 towers in the long lane, so if you are going to split push, you are effectively going to give up that fire giant because again, the burn is going to be very strong. You know that food fighters will be willing to pull because of the damage they have, this double ADC. It is worth saying though that I don't think the food fighters will have the luxury of doing that this time because Lakias, as we've seen, is not remotely tanky, only has a void shield.
Nope.
No magical defense at all. It's basically a jungler at this point. And that means we actually need to see Lakias get onto Sejos nice and early. In fact, Lakias is doing exactly that, but the problem is taking so much damage, and you've got to try and blink past those minions so that you can get a stun. But actually in the mid lane, Sithro's used beads and ult, trying to get the kill, but Mad Slug just out of range.
Ultimates are flying, but Sithro is the one who's low and now gets plucked into more danger. Donnie takes them down first. It's a bad start for King's Court, and the food fighters shall oblige them. Pick up Joe from New York as well. Lakias shall take them down. Now there's a split push attempt on this right-hand side from Elder. No runic bomb in pocket, and Mad Slug has back to base. Now, it's a bait to the fire giant. They don't have any Hatchet Man, but they have spotted out Sejos, who uses both relics, tries to put out whatever damage they can, but Oreo shall shut them down in the process, and they all turn attention to the fire. Elder did climb across the tree to try to back someone up, but now food fighters start the fire giant. How did King's Court respond?
And Elder chose to back. I wonder if could have stayed and kept Mad Slug, but actually they're just going to turn on Raker. No way out of that one. Elder's coming on the back, but not
Elder
enough damage. Raker falls.
They get an angle.
They're just going to go back to Fire Giant, I think. Health bars are pretty low, but I think they can still do this.
They are so low, but they're going to have to not only juggle the aggro of the Fire Giant, but also juggle the aggro from Elder if they opt to make a way in. Now, the Fire Giant is about to fall, and there is no attempt from Elder. I wonder if they're looking instead for someone to step up a bit too high. Oreo has used the jump. Does Elder pounce in kind? Now, I do wonder how much Oreo is aware of the potential danger they're in. They're trying to back to base. They might be looking in the shop. They're not aware of this Ratataska. Sweeping in, gets one, quick gets two. Fires up the Hunters of Bast and a pounce in place. Elder's dead. Elder goes down, and it's just Joe from New York here to back them up. Oreo will be able to get out alive because, never mind. Sejos will put the nail in the coffin. But Elder again trades themselves out, not having a good few minutes here.
I'm not going to talk about Acorns, but it's a good pick. They managed to get Oreo. A little bit anticlimactic, just a new ult from the heavens, just finishing that job. It's good to get that EFG away, and if we're taking positives, it's well worth Elder dying to take away that EFG. It took a little while, but that's super worth it. Again, that's just going to slow them down that little bit more because from the food fighters, they still have to get through these tier 2 towers before they can even look at a Phoenix. They captured Beacon, which has taken a little chunk out of that right-hand side Phoenix. I wonder if they could go for it, but again, with how this game has gone, it's still basically even. Gold lead has meant nothing the entire game. It certainly means nothing now. I understand that they're taking a little bit more of a cautious route. Raker needs to be careful here, though. This Jormungand has proven that you can catch them out very, very easily. I think that the build hasn't helped the Yorm too much. You know, both these solo laners have gone aggressive routes, although, you know, Lackius is on another level, just full damage build. And Raker, damage check from the World Weaver as well. Yeah, they're playing it slowly. Everyone's back up now. Oreo will be back there nice and soon. They take away that TT tower. Again, good pressure, but I wonder, they're not going to go for Phoenix. They're actually going to go to mid here, and I wonder if there's an opportunity there to actually go for that mid Phoenix.
There is just so much damage flying in all directions here. Everyone is fighting because anyone can die. And Cithro, ooh, has a good flank there. Leaping in is Joe from New York. Doesn't get a stun. Fire shards come out, and this will tip the scales of the fight in favor of King's Court. Cithro wants to give chase. There's no one else available. Elder forced to back to base. So the food fighters, having picked off these tier 2 towers, will now retreat back to base. But King's Court, they aren't sitting back. It's like they've never heard of a gold lead or an EFG. They don't care. They want to fight no matter what. But food fighters, they're going to reset the health bars, and they might look to go back in.
And I just think that with how squishy everyone is, you know, it is, as you said, it just doesn't matter about gold lead or XP or anything, because the reality is you've got enough items online that you can kill whoever's in front of you. Maybe a Sobek and a Fafnir can tank a few more autos, but at this stage of the game, you really don't have that luxury. Now, they still have EFG for a little bit longer. It will be running out soon, so that they need to be wary of that. Are they going to make a Phoenix push? They're going to look to get a pick first, but actually, it's a counter-engage from the King's Court.
Oh my goodness, blown up is Mad Slug. So, a 4 versus 5 in favor of King's Court, and look at the damage coming onto Lachias. Oh my goodness, with the smallest amount of health, gets up into that somersault cloud, goes back in from the somersault cloud, and gets eaten by a goose. And they will now turn their attention to Elder Will, the food fighters, but that's not an easy pick either. Enhanced Fire Giant will be despawning any moment now, so the King's Court have done it. They've kept up this first defense. Looks like Oreo and Donnie still want to try to blow someone up. Cithro there, temptingly low HP on this Marticorus, but I'm not sure anyone is going to have an opportunity. King's Court look like they want to push into this Phoenix.
As they have often shown, they are clearly happy to go not over aggressive, but I would call this pretty close to that threshold. Oreo is here, and health bars are low. It's a big engage and a huge shutdown onto Seho.
Great cat scratch there, hits everybody you needed to. Zombie Billy Mays is low, will retreat Cithro even lower. Can Oreo find the shot? Joe from New York is there, and Joe from New York is vulnerable, but they can leap for now. Donnie, though, doesn't hit with the weave. They will get a slow. Backflips the wrong direction. Zombie Billy Mays claims that kill as their own, but Oreo cannot claim any other. Now Raker just about gets away alive as well into that World Serpent, and somehow Cithro will remain alive, can back to base in safety of their own grasp. At food fighters now, the Fire Giant is about to spawn, and they've got double ADC.
Yeah, I think this is free. I really don't think there's a way to contest. Elder does have the ultimate. It's on the wrong side of the map, and that through the Cosmos can get you pretty far, but this burn is going to be pretty good. It's not maybe as quick as I was expecting, but I think they'll be all right. This will be another EFG on the side of food fighters. Again, it's all because of that engage from Oreo. They were able to get the 2 picks from it. That opens the door. They get EFG at 36 minutes, and now, because of that last EFG, they were able to take out those tier 2 towers. It was scrappy, but suddenly the door has now opened up. They can charge down that left-hand side of the map. They can get only Fury on the way, and then some damage. But now they just need to group up and start to push down a Phoenix, because I really think they're in a very strong spot to do that. They've also got 3 Pyro Bombs. Really, food fighters should be taking this left-hand side Phoenix in the next minute.
They should be taking this left side Phoenix, but what they've instead been looking to take is as many fights as possible at all times. And it might well be working out for them, but we might well be on our way to a world record for total player damage in a game right now, because everyone is hitting so hard. And Zombie Fury is being done by 2 members of Food Fighters, but there are more members here. Now, Food Fighters get the objective, but Mad
Still
Slug
won't
is
take the
totally
fight
cut
away.
off, and the fire shots blow them up and take them off the map. That's a huge pick to lose for the Food Fighters. Now, Zombie Billy Mays will be getting chased down by Reika. We'll have the dash in a moment. Reika has committed themselves in, though, and that will take too much damage, but Elder on the backside. Sejos putting out the damage onto Oreo. Donnie gets caught by Elder up to the sky. Goes sit through as well. Zombie Billy Mays is alive, as is Lachias, but it is 2 frontliners, with Lachias being a pseudo frontliner. They don't have a runic bomb, they don't have enhanced fire giant, but they do have 4 members alive and a lot of damage to work with. Now they're going to make their way in. Never mind, Lachias interrupt them before they can do that. Takes up to the sky. Sejos is low. Oh, but gets plucked out of the damage. Fafnir trying to heal them up. Fafnir trying to dish out their own damage as well. Lachias falls down. Zombie Billy Mays is the only one left, and they shall fall. But do King's Court have enough in the tank to take down this Titan? It looks like they do. Fafnir will tank it up. It is 7 seconds till Mad Slug, and that is too long. King's Court bide their time. They take their rest, but they take game number 1.
It's unfortunate for Food Fighters. They end the game with a theoretical gold lead, but their Titan's dead. Just doesn't matter at that stage. And again, I just think if they'd have been a bit more calm once getting that EFG, just slow the game down. You've got control. You can afford to choose the pacing. If they're going to step up like that, you just have to make sure that you're grouped and ready to punish any bad positioning. Food Fighters weren't quite able to do that, and I think that's maybe comes down to comms, who's calling what, who's target selecting. But it did feel like the King's Court, they weren't ahead by any means. They weren't dominating that game, and it did feel like they had momentum quite a lot of the time because they were essentially taking every fight on their terms. They were choosing when they were fighting, and that's because they were grouping up slightly better, and that is why they were able to win out in game number 1, despite not necessarily getting a lot of those objectives. They just fought when they wanted to.
You know who went huge at the end of that game? Sejos on the Noir. Noir ADC. You never know. It might have been exactly what was needed. And it was definitely a tough game for King's Court. It never really felt like you said, they were ahead. They did have some small leads here and there, but keeping in mind, they never got a fire giant, let alone an enhanced fire giant. But as you'd mentioned, there were 3 runic bombs in the pocket of Food Fighters. Surely they could take at least 1 Phoenix somehow, but they kind of mess around a bit. Some of them go for the Oni Fury, and of course the Oni Fury is important, but not as important as Mad Slug's life. And yeah, the Hachiman falls down, and just look at those damage numbers. Those are some huge damage output from everyone on King's Court, and unfortunately for Food Fighters, eventually that's what won them out.
And yeah, it's worth pointing out that Mad Slug, who was enormous on this Hatchman, had 3-4 level leads over this Noir at one point. Mad Slug had very, very low player damage. I think only the supports were lower, which is surprising to me. But actually, I think that's the result of there being lots of global ults in the game. It's actually tough for you to get any damage off because all of the damage was instant. It was 100 to 0, or because you either Aegis all of it or you die immediately. And I think in those longer, more extended engagements, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Mad Slug had a more Kins, attack speed pen style of build, didn't have any crit. Maybe this was the game for crit because of how fast everyone was dying. Mad Slug was never getting off more than a couple of autos, and as a result, actually didn't have a big impact come late game.
Well, the best news for all of us to hear is, despite how chaotic and crazy that game was, that was only game 1, which means we have at least 1 more to look forward to. So we are going to head for a very short break, but if you want to see more action like that, do not go anywhere. And we are back, everybody, for game number 2 of this Abyss Division matchup. Now, this is actually my first time getting to see Abyss Division, and that's if they are all as chaotic as that last one, I'm going to be tuning in more often.
Right? That was crazy. And the best thing is, like, you don't have to worry about any picks. You don't have to worry about any in-depth analysis because it's all just chaos. And honestly, sometimes you don't even need to add to that. You could just be there and present because all of that was insane. It was great to watch, and I hope for more in game number 2.
Hoping for more chaos. Let's see if that begins in the picks and bans phase as we head on over for game number 2. Now, of course, if you happen to be unlucky enough to miss that last game, it is 1-0 currently in favor of the King's Court. Now, Food Fighters will this time be on our order side, and that's an unfortunate drop from them. It felt like they had the lead pretty much through the entirety of the game, or at least most of it, but they weren't able to finish it off.
Yeah, well, it was always a theoretical lead, and I think while some of their, I think in terms of the way they played the laning phase, it was good, but as you know, at some point you need to get out of that and you need to start grouping. And I actually think the Food Fighters they kind of never really left that laning phase for me, but we are seeing a few switch ups already. The Marticrus has been banned away. This is
Ooh.
clearly what the King's Court value. They obviously first picked it last game. They don't even want to see Food Fighters. They don't even want to risk giving it to them. So I'm perfectly happy to see it banned away. The damage is massive, and I'll be interested to see if Cithro pulls out another, ADC. Maybe goes for a mid. Yeah, there's lots on the table.
Yeah, like you said, there's only so many of these ability-based hunters, but there are at least two of them still open. So we might see this time a Neath run back, possibly, but also Chiron now on board, so
Yeah.
could be selected. But oh, it's actually Cerberus going to be top picked by Food Fighters. Now we did actually see Cerberus was banned out in the
Mm.
previous game, so this time with it being let through, I think it might have been Food Fighters themselves who banned it. So clearly a very high priority pick for them.
Yeah, interesting. I'm 90% sure this is going to be in the solo lane. We talked a bit about Guardians versus Warriors in that solo lane. It's really hard to tell, especially when both solo laners go full damage. Like there's no there's no judging which is better at that stage. But I do think Cerberus is perfectly good in lane. The damage late game is very, very good, but the key for me is that you have pen already in your build. You don't need to go full damage. Just get a conduit gem, get a breastplate, get a few sort of hybrid items in there. Stone of Binding will be great, and I think that you'll have everything you need. Similar can be said though of the Kuzumo on the other side. It's actually a very similar story in that solo lane.
Yes. Yeah, it could potentially be a Kuzumbo in the solo lane, could be a Kuzumbo support. Again, no Baki Kujira, a bit of a handshake agreement here that no one wants to pick the whale. So we will not be seeing that guard, at least not yet, but there are still, of course, plenty more picks to be had. But Heimdall being highly prioritized here for King's Court. So they are committing to at least having one non-ability based hunter. You actually could have gone for both the Chiron and the Neath right here. And what a Food Fighter's going to do then, huh? What are you going to do about that? But instead, they have gone for Heimdall. Very safe, does similar meta builds
Huh?
very, very well, but
Huh?
not so good when it comes to crit. And while I've been building up this talking point of the Heimdall, I'm instead going to look to the other side of the picks and bans. Okay, it's not a Chiron. It's not a Chronos, sorry. It is actually a Chiron being locked in. So that god, much much simpler than a Chronos here. We're not going to have to break down a Chronos, but there's a Hou Yi being hovered as well, and
Yeah,
that one's very
yeah.
curious to me. I would be very surprised to see that one locked in.
That my eyes are locked in. I frankly I don't want to see it. I think Hui sucks. Uh, I think one of the few ADCs that can't really build into this sort of
Oh, that's better.
ability based build. I'm not going to talk about him because Hui sucks. They've looked in Anha. Anha's just a better pick. Anha, you can actually build a normal auto attack build just fine. And I think with how Mad Slug was doing in the laning phase, I like putting them on a slightly more aggressive pick like the Arnher, still very safe. Also does a little bit better in the late game in terms of fighting frontliners. I think Arnher's one of the best at that with the CC that he has and the
Yes.
pen that he has in his kit. So I like that pickup. The Chiron as well will pair excellently with it. It's the other ability-based ADC. Don't think it matches up so well into Thoth as they do. We do finally see that Thoth for the King's Court. It's an interesting matchup because it really is about who dashes in second. Because if you use
Yes.
your dash first, you are going to get dashed in on and you will die. So I mean, I say it's interesting. What will actually happen is no one will use their dash and it'll be really boring. But that's fine too. They both got snipes available. They'll both look to farm up for the late game and look to try and do maximum damage from a long way away, and that'll do just fine. I think these two drafts are super similar so far. Yeah, across, for all three picks, I'm expecting to see those two Guardians going solo. I expect Thoth Chiron very similar. Armherd Heimdall very similar. Man, these are two really cool drafts, and I really can't separate them at this point.
What I do like to see when these drafts are so similar, like you say, especially when it comes to a team fight or a laning phase, there's not a whole lot to split them. Then we have to start looking at objectives, and funnily enough, there's
Mm.
still not a lot to split them, but for different
Yeah,
reasons. So Anher, of course, will very likely be building into that crit, but of course has built-in pen, which is just great for
yeah,
shredding down objectives early on. You know, it looks like food fighters have the composition that just does that a bit better. Unfortunately for them, the King's Court have in their back pocket a Thoth, who does a very good job of
yeah.
securing these objectives, but more importantly, stealing these objectives away. So, food fighters are definitely going to struggle to kill these objectives if the Thoth is still on the map. Now, they will have to, of course, rely on their jungler now to put some pressure out, and who they decide to go for is going to be
Ooh.
very, very important here. But the King Court have already picked their likely jungler, and they've actually gone with a Tsukuyomi.
Very interesting. And once again, we've got a potential very similar playstyle in that jungle if we do see a Pele locked in. No, it's going to be a Lancelot, but again, it's about heavy, heavy dive for both these teams. And you know, Tsukiyomi is one of those characters that I think it doesn't always do brilliantly in a lot of metas because Tsukiyomi, the way he plays, you have to be able to one shot someone with your ult and your one. You have to be able to kill them on your own because otherwise you're ulting into a backliner who will inevitably have the support next to them and it puts you in a terrible situation. Now, the good thing is you've got a Thoth who's able to follow up. We'll see what solo or support they lock in as well. I do think there's some synergy here, and I think that this is not the worst Tsukuyomi matchup I've ever seen. So I actually think there's a lot of potential here if they pick another tank that can dive well with the Tsukuyomi, and even actually you're looking for someone to engage first.
Yeah, we've seen a little bit of Tsukiyomi solo in recent metas, and I would say personally I'm not a huge fan of that. We do finally see, after some deliberation, the food fighters do select their jungler, and it's actually a Naja. Now, Naja, of course, one of the best gods in the game for just straight up setup, and of course pairs quite well with a Cerberus to maybe burn some of those beads. But how do you see
Mm.
Naja faring up here against this King's Court, or even alongside the rest of the draft from food fighters?
I don't think the follow up is fantastic. Again, you're missing that traditional mage. Now, Chiron will still be able to get off a lot of damage from that Windfire Wheel, so I don't think it's a massive issue. I also quite like the ability to stun out and potentially take into the air a Thoth or a Heimdall before they're even able to get their escape off. I think that can work quite well, and as you said, combined with a beads burning Cerberus Soul, I think there's actually good potential there. The problem for me is they've just picked a Kepri, and Kepri kind of negates everything that you want to do. Uh, you know, if you're trying to, because the way the food fighters win here is they get
Yes.
a pick onto one person, and that's by Naja sashing, ulting someone. You've got two hunters ready to follow up. Cerberus and Bacchus need to be creating space to allow them to just pick off one person. But the problem is now they've got to create space by zoning off a Kepri, because one Kepri ult can ruin that entire game plan. And interestingly, it's completely changed my perception of these two drafts because now I think the King's Court are massively favoured because I think the Khepri is just a phenomenal pick. Not only at countering what Food Fighters want to do, but also it plays so well with this Tsukiyomi who wants to be diving into the back line. You're going to get a Khepri on top of you. It's going to be really difficult for Food Fighters to deal with, especially with his backers as well, who can't peel it particularly well either. I'm favouring the King's Court just off that last pick.
Well, it's a dream draft for the King's Court. Let's see if the Food Fighters can make it a nightmare as we head on in to game number 2 between these two teams. Now, everyone relatively standard this time. Nobody mixing it up in the way that we did see in this first game. And, you know, we're going to be seeing more standard playstyle. There will not be this Fafnir Noir composition from King's Court this time where they are sacrificing a lane. Nothing quite so extreme this time. But do you see the early game going in favor of one particular team here?
It's hard to say. I mean, I think Fofsuki is I mean, it's good lane pressure, but then on the duo side, I think Heimdall isn't going to do as well into an Arnher. But again, you're into a Bacchus, so whose clear is considerably worse than Khepri. So it feels like they're kind of even across the board. I don't think Solo is going to have a particular advantage, although Oreo avoids the stun with her own stun, but takes a ton of damage in response. Dashing from Cithro misses the route. That'll be that. I'm looking at solo lane, I think, because Reika on this Kuzumbo, there's actually quite a lot of kill potential in the early game. Again, once you use that sumo slam, you can catch people out with the amount of damage that you're doing, especially with this conduit gem. You can also cancel out what Lakis wants to do in terms of using that breath to clear. You can cancel that out pretty easily. That's where I'd be looking at for early First Blood, but it might be in the mid lane as we see another 2v2, but King's Court seem to have position here.
But there's like a line that these teams are more than willing to cross in the early game. Generally, you don't see players step above the sort of halfway point in the map, but Oreo sashing across that halfway point in the map and takes a lot of damage in the meantime, but it's just poking and prodding right now. It's not the easiest kill potential here because of the way that so many of these gods rely on their ultimates for damage. So nothing too dangerous happening just yet, but everyone, again, fresh off that last game, wants to get back to brawling. You know, no one seems to want to be content to just wait this one out, and everyone wants to be on the front foot. Now, Matthias might find themselves on the back foot, get flank in from Elder, but that will be that for now. And repeat of the first game, focus from Elder onto this solo lane.
Yeah, and as you said, we saw it in game number 1. I don't mind this prioritization again. I think it's good to get your Kuzumo a little bit ahead. But again, both these solo laners, interestingly, have opted to go for the physical defense. Will probably rush that Breastplate of Valor. Not going for that magical defense, which I actually quite like, given that how these junglers have played this first game. Ganks are likely. You want to protect yourself. You want to get the cooldown reduction and the mana for that lane nice and early. I think it's just a good pick all round. And again, it kind of neutralizes it because neither of them have gone magical defense. So in the end, you're looking at your jungler to set the pace. The junglers are going to be the one getting the kills. There's probably not going to be much in the way of solo kills, I would say. Although every time I say that, the opposite seems to happen. Yeah, we're pretty. Yeah, we're stewing over at this point. 300 gold for the King's Court. Very little to call at this stage. Although Oreo's hit level 5, just a little bit before Elder, who also hits level 5. It's yeah. I really don't know where the engagement's going to be, and it just feels like compared to game number 1, this one's going to be much slower paced. And I don't really mind. I don't mind a little bit of a respite because we all need it. But eventually, this game will explode into life, and I do think that it's possibly looking at Oreo with this win Firewheels. That could be the go button for the food fight.
Go button instead comes from Elder, who gets some damage onto Mad Slug, goes in with the piercing moonlight, and will have enough damage to finish off the kill. Now, Zombie Billy Mays is still in the area, had been sent through the realms by Seahost, but it looks like that will be that for this engagement. Let's hold on. Elder spots out Oreo as well. Level lead for the Tsukiyomi.
Already.
The damage coming out. Oreo gets the beat, but does not get the Windfire Wheels. All of a sudden, this fight turns away. Cithro wants to put the damage out, but it's out of range. Elder trying to take the fight but in the middle of both lanes. Zombie Billy Mays will be the one to pick that up, and Cithro has cut themselves off. Does have the retreat out. Donnie gets
Also
rooted,
slow.
has the shot. Oh, fantastic ult from Kepri
Beads
as
as well.
would have kept them alive, but yeah, another relic off the table. There was the fight that was brewing. 11 HP for Cithro, but at least had that Scarab's Blessing.
Yeah, Cithro was charging that final judgment for a long time, and Donnie was literally stood next to them, auto-attacking for free, and very, very lucky to get away with that one. A little bit of an odd engagement, I think, but from Oreo. You know, you get the beads at that stage, but the fact is, Elder does it because they know they have so much damage coming out. You're in the caltrops, you're firing off your shurikens. Actually, you're doing a lot of damage anyway, and then you miss the ultimate. So you need to be a little bit more cautious, I think, when you come into these jungle 1v1s. You know, once you've got those beads, just that's the win. That's all that you need because you have enough CC elsewhere on the map with a Bacchus flop into a stun. That's all you need. So just get those beads, take that as a win, and then back off. As I say, that Oreo didn't die, and they did get the pick onto Elder, so they're certainly heading in the right direction. It's 1-for-1 right now, but Team's caught 500 gold in the lead, and there's an ult used, but ult response. Reika looking to steal, doesn't, now under pressure from Oreo.
Reika in some big trouble, gets taken to the skies with the Windfire wheels, and there is
Rotation.
backup on the way. Now, Reika really needs this cooldowns to come through, but it's just going to be too long. Donnie will get prize for their rotation and will pick up a kill for this mid lane Chiron, and that's now going to spill itself over to hopefully be a lead for Food Fighters, but they're still down a bit in gold. They've really not had a great start, especially with First Blood going the way of Kingscourt. Donnie still wants to take the fight to Cithro, who's not really too interested, especially with this early rotation from the supports over here. Everyone wants to brawl yet again, but I'm still not seeing a whole lot in the way of kill potential.
No, it is, and actually the ult has been used, but Sash off the mark, and Cithro should be able to get out fairly simply. Ton of damage from Zombie Billy Mays, though.
Yeah, putting out the damage is this Bacchus. No one would die if everyone just played as they should. But oh, Sash Koch catches onto Cithro's dash there. But another fantastic so Scarab's Blessing will keep them alive. And Oreo will fall down to Elder. 2 kills for this Tsukuyomi now. Off to a great start again is Elder. 3 kills after only 7 minutes.
And that's twice. We've seen, not necessarily an overextension to try and kill Cithro, but it just feels like you need to do more if you want to get past this Scarab's Blessing from the Kepri. It feels like they haven't quite got enough. Reika going to get ulted back in. Low health bars, but stun off the mark. Lakia's probably not going to be able to secure that kill. Yeah, I just think they need to... You know, as soon as you miss that Sash, you have to decide, hey, that's it. We're not getting this kill, let's back out. And the problem is now, you know, we saw a 4-man rotation from Food Fighters earlier. We saw that in game number 1 as well. Cithro has twice survived low health. And what it means is, I actually think there's a slight level lead for Donnie thanks to that early kill. But and it just means that you're allowing this Thoth to farm freely. They're eventually going to fall ahead, and actually, ton of damage. Donnie's going to just about squeak out with Windfire Wheels. It could be set up for your own demise.
Oh, there was a final judgment there. Very, very close to connecting with Donnie, but Oreo also has to retreat. Now, Zombie Billy Mays sweeping up the kill as Bacchus leaping in with the Intoxicate. Cithro still wants to put out damage onto Donnie, who goes into the Centaurus as well. Beads out from Cithro. That'll be a huge chunk of damage, but still no kill onto this Toth. And this time, Joe from New York did not have the Scarab's Blessing available, but twice scorned have been the Food Fighters, so they didn't commit any further, but Elder falls down again for another spill.
Yeah, and actually it was one more shot from Donnie with that Centaurus ult. Might have actually done the trick to finish off Cithro. Certainly the health bar was low enough, but I think we're seeing that actually what Food Fighters need to do is wait on the Oreo's engagement. You need to let Zombie Billy Mays do the engagement. You need Bacchus to start the fight with a successful belly flop into a stun. As soon as you do that, the fight's going to go much easier because then you're forcing out Thoth dash. you're putting him naturally out of position anyway by doing that, and then you can start following up with Sash with the Windfire Wheels, drop plenty of damage there. That's when the fights are going to go better for you. So we've seen a little glimpse of that. We need to see if they can look to do that in future.
Ooh.
Oh, off mark, Consejo's probably going to be fine.
Yeah, Sejos sends one through the realms, but Madslug going off with the Desert Fury and the teleport, short range from Sejos. But Elder is here to punish the rotation in. The piercing Moonlight will just do too much damage for Oreo to manage with. Now Madslug has to retreat. There's a great route, has to use the beads. Zombie Billy Mays comes in, but now might pay the price. Insect flaps on to Sejos, but another Scarab's Blessing comes out, and Zombie Billy Mays will be falling in just a moment. Sithro putting out damage over the wall, fires off that final judgment, and that is 2 dropped kills. Oh, sorry, 2 kills down now. The King's Court take down 2 in that fight, and it all comes from the aggression from the food fighters.
Yeah, and I think credit to Sejos as well, who I think baited really, really well. Knew they had the Bifrost available, knew that there was a Kepri ult potentially on the way as well. Baited perfectly, lured Madslug in, who did a lot of damage and hit a lot of the ult, but at the end of it, you don't get the kill, and suddenly you're way deep in their jungle. Now, King's Court are going to drop this Gold Fury. Again, a little bit too much pressure, and Donnie did have the ultimate available. That Centaurus is a pretty good steal, especially without Final Judgment being available for Sithro. They used it to finish off the Bacchus kill. Yeah, just overextension from Food Fighters, but I don't mind that because it feels like that's what the King's Court were doing last time, and it feels like that the Food Fighters, at least this game, they are trying to be a bit more proactive. They're trying to take fights on their terms. And actually, as a result, it feels like they're just a bit more in control of their own fate here, rather than letting the King's Court do what they want.
Yeah, because despite dropping those 2 kills, like you mentioned, there is still only a very, very small gold lead for King's Court. You know, you would expect it to be much higher. Given that they are 2 kills ahead, you know, we are talking 150 gold or so. So Food Fighters have at least done well to keep up farm. I'm not actually sure who that could be, who's doing a good job of farming here, because Elder, 4-2 so far on the Tsukiyomi, plenty of kills in pocket, must be having a pretty good time, but seems instead that it's not really turned itself into a huge lead. Oh, leap in there from Madslug, wants to take this 1v1. Anher has the better 1v1 potential, but Sejos just firing off these shots, has that mannequins, does dish out equally good damage, and Zombie Billy Mays is facing the brunt of it this time. Again, not a whole lot of kill potential, but these teams don't care. They just want to stack those player damage numbers.
Just jumping in at every single opportunity. I do think it's tough to fight into a Heimdall. Now both of them have actually a big engagement onto Donnie. The Aegis is good, and actually could be a little bit of a bait onto Elder.
Oh, Elder now taken up to the sky. The Centaurus will not follow up with enough damage, but Elder has nowhere to go, and Oreo shall slice them down with that flaming spear. And whereas aggression from King's Court, Food Fighters take the beacon and take a kill as well. More than happy with how that will go for them, and it just seems like Food Fighters are a bit more in this game, like you said, than the last one. Everything they do seems to be working out most of the time, not quite all the time, but they're much more in control of their own fate, like you'd said.
Yeah, and actually we might see another pick onto Sithro. Surely cooldowns are soon. Where's the dash? It's there, but do they have the follow-up shot? There's the sash. That'll do.
That's it.
Sithro falls.
My goodness, these teams do not stop fighting. Sent through the realms is the Bacchus and falls down from the realms dead. That's a kill now from Sejos. What was happening there? No idea. Don't care anymore because there's a fight in right lane instead. Lakias and Reika brawling it out. Low health bars from these Guardians, but there's a surprising amount of kill potential. Like you'd mentioned, even though these are Guardians, these are 2 very aggressive Guardians. And with the presence of Oreo now on this right-hand side, Reika might have, whoa, okay, that's a blink in from Lakias, and that gives the game away a little bit. Okay. Reika runs back to tower safely, but could have been more there for the Food Fighters.
Yeah, you probably don't need to do that. No wards that I could see for Reika. I don't know how aware they were of the Naja rotation. Yeah, probably don't need to commit the blink, at least quite so early. I think wait for that sash to come out first. Yes. But yeah, it's interesting that these solo laners, where we said would be the most kills happening, has actually been rather quiet. I think we did see one solo kill, and Lackius certainly has been out farming and out clearing Raker, which surprised me a little bit. But again, I think that's only because of the kill we saw over there. And again, another big commit. They haven't quite killed Donny though.
They haven't, and now Elder goes up to the sky to pay the price. Donny will follow up with the Centaurus and will get the return kill. Final Judgment does hit 2 from Cithro, but the damage is not quite there yet in this one big burst.
No.
Cithro has to dash out, but Lachias is here. Oh, and a fantastic
Whoa.
pillar. Locks them in place. They have the damage for Cithro, but there is the revive from the Scarab's Blessing, and Cithro cannot retreat because this fantastic rotation from the Cerberus is just making too much of a difference now, tipping the scales in favor of Food Fighters. Now Joe from New York, no ultimate to use there, but just has to retreat the old-fashioned way and will dash back to the beacon. Raker has made the rotation over. How much do Food Fighters want to commit to this? A leap in from Zombie Billy Mays. Joe from New York is taking some punishment, but still manages to get away with a small amount of health until now. And Donny now on a killing spree. This Chiron with a great start to this game.
And that's got to be alarm bells ringing now for King's Court, I think. It's actually completely opposite to what we saw in game number 1. This time it's Lacchius willing to make these rotations, and it is Food Fighters taking the fight on their terms. They're just grouping up as 5 at 15 minutes because they feel they can win all these fights, and they're absolutely right to do so. This time they were able to force the Kepriel, they were able to follow up on it because they had a solo laner present. They get that pick, they get a few more, they take away Pyromance, they take away mid-tower. They're now looking at this Gold Fury. They've still got the positioning. Elpos are a little bit low, but it's a big engage from Lacchius.
Cithro dashed in and is now regretting that decision. Mad Slug leaping over the wall because they know they're not going to regret it. Now Lachias and Zombie Billy Mays have taken a bit of punishment so far. Quick stun onto Seahos there. Donny more than capable of putting out damage over these walls. Great poke from Elder, but it's the Bacchus you're trying to hit. Now it does mean that Food Fighters cannot take this Gold Fury, and it looks like instead King's Court might be interested in picking it up for themselves. Elder, though, taking a ton of poke before this fight begins. Mad Slug praying Protector for this Gold Fury, trying to keep King's Court away, and they cannot step up because there's just too much of a presence from the Food Fighters here.
Yeah, and I don't mind that. I do think maybe with Cithro being off the table, you maybe could have been a bit more aggressive there. I don't really see a problem with trying. It's also worth saying that you've got the Heimdall, you've got the Anhur, I should say, and the Chiron. We know that this double ADC shreds really well, but again, I think the presence of Raker especially probably a bit too scary for me. So I don't mind the slightly cautious play. Altfault traded, Lacchius secures their own blue buff once again, been pretty good at that so far. And I have to say that feels like one of the big differences is I think Lacchius has been playing really well on this Cerberus, and I haven't seen the effectiveness of this Kuzenbo quite yet, and I actually don't think it's going to get any better. I think Cerberus is just going to get more and more dangerous, and as such, the King's Court, they're actually the ones grouping. They take that Stygian Beacon. We're kind of in this weird state. It's 17 minutes in the game, and both teams have decided to abandon laning phase, which is bizarre, frankly, but again, they just feel like we want to scrap, we want to fight over this Gold Fury. We haven't seen one taken away, I don't think, yet, so I don't mind this grouping at all. But actually, the King's Court took the Stygian Beacon as 5, and then suddenly they backed off, and now they're giving away Gold Fury potentially for free.
Yeah, Food Fighters do secure that. I think that was actually a runic bomb used to secure the objective there. And it was easy enough there. Like we said, they have plenty of good burn. It's all about can they out-secure them. But hold on, Lachias in big danger. Looks like they've taken a fight to Elder, and Elder shall finish the fight. So at least King's Court do pick up 1 kill in response. But look at the way the gold shots are trending here. It's about a 4,000 gold lead, almost, coming out in favor of Food Fighters. That's about as big a lead as we saw in game number 1 up to this point. You know, eventually it got a bit more out of control, but this is the biggest lead anyone's had at this mid-game stage, and Food Fighters are the ones with the momentum. It's pretty much only Elder who's been able to make anything happen elsewhere. Oreo takes Raker to the sky, and there is more than enough damage to follow up. They have grouped up together. They have completely disassembled Raker, and now it's 5-on-4. This Fire Giant pit over on the left-hand side of the map is Seahost. This might be a full fire commitment here from the Food Fighters.
And I don't mind this from the King's Court. I think they need to keep on split pushing, but the problem is Lackius has backed. That means that this Heimdall isn't going to be able to push for a Phoenix, and now you're in a really difficult spot because now you really can't give this up. But Joe from New York takes a ton of damage from Fire Giant, falls already, and this is just getting from bad to worse now for the King's Court.
Well, Food Fighters have dropped the objective, but Mad Slug firing back onto Cithro, doing a lot of damage. Is this on her? Cithro tries to turn the damage back. The beads get used as well, but the damage from Kairos too high. Oh, fantastic Aegis! Blocks the final judgment that surely would have spelled danger. Now the rest of the King's Court need to try to regroup, because if they were fighting there as a bigger group, there might be an opportunity, but Elder and Sehost off trying to find their farm, but at least the King's Court have deflected Foo Fighters from this Fire Giant.
Yeah, I suppose you'd say they did their job. I mean, Joe from New York is kind of happy to die for that one. Less happy that Cithro had to die as well. I think at that point you kind of need to leave your Kepri level 12, just stop them getting FG. And that's absolutely what happened. I don't think you need to follow that up as well. Just try and get your own farm, because Cithro has struggled a lot this game. Only level 16 at this stage. Only the supports are behind in levels. And I just think they were a little bit confused. They didn't really make a call there. They didn't commit to defending Fire Giant, but they didn't commit to leaving it either. So in the end, Elder and Sehost were off split pushing who knows where. But we're back to a 5v5 now, but Sehost has been taken into the sky.
Up to the sky goes Elder. Oh, fantastic res from Joe from New York. But the CC chain continues on from Zombie Billy Mays. Nice stun from the Haijutsu, but that is that from Elder. They got nowhere to go. And that's a fantastic Stygian Torment. Pulls in the front line. They tried to fight their way back, but Mad Slug shall take down Joe from New York. And that is all Lakias needed to do, despite having only a small amount of health left. Cithro cannot find this last little bit of damage onto the Bacchus, and that will be that for this fight again. Oh, Sehost teleports all the way over, actually. Now Donnie is low. Sehost finds the shot with the Odysseus bow. And this fight's not quite over yet.
No.
Leaping in is Mad Slug. Cithro has to retreat yet again. Desert Fury comes out, but not enough damage. Why is everyone continuously want to fight? Here comes Oreo from the backside.
And he's going to miss the sash. Sehost is here to slam away. Actually has to.
No.
Windfire Will's going to bring him back, but Lackius is actually doing a great job. Shot as well. Is able to zone away, get the kill. Now Sehost is low.
Sehost in trouble, gets hit by the sash, can't teleport away because that crystal is far, far away. And now another 2 kills go the way of Food Fighters. Lakias again with a big Stygian Torment. Reika tries to put out the damage, but they don't have it. Another great sash and chase comes out from Donnie, firing off shots into the back of this Kuzubo. But here comes a piercing Moonlight from Elder. Aegis down, putting out a ton of damage, but it's not enough damage. And Donnie fires them down. Finally, Food Fighters turn their attention to this Fire Giant because 4 members of King's Court off the table.
If anyone was in doubt about which way this game was going and who was controlling it, Food Fighters are just destroying the King's Court right now. Everything they're doing is just going their way, and the King's Court, they kind of just need to stop. Like, they need to stop fighting them because that Cithro. You remember when I said Cithro was level 16 about 3 minutes ago? Cithro is level 16 at 22 minutes, and they just keep fighting. They need to stop because the bleeding is getting out of hand, and they're going to be dead pretty soon because they're just taking and making the same mistake over and over again. I honestly don't know why they're fighting because, again, we saw Sehost earlier was split pushing in left lane. It was splitting up the team, making Lackius back, and that was key because Lackius is playing lights out at the moment. Gets an ult onto Joe from New York, who is struggling to get away. They take him down. Now they can look at tier 2. This is just spiraling out of control.
Joe from New York, they're CC'd all the way back to New York, so not going to be a part of this upcoming defense. But luckily for King's Court, the Food Fighters are instead opting to play this one slowly. They're going to take down these tier 1 and tier 2 towers. Lakia's not getting the message there, still wants to keep fighting, but there is room now for the King's Court to try to pick up little bits of farm scraps across the map. But like you said, I don't get why they are taking these fights in a way that they really don't need to, because we discussed at the start of the game how good their composition is, but it needs to be an organized team fight from them. And right now, that's the only thing they're not putting together.
I don't think they've taken a single full-on 5v5 fight. And for me, that's the big problem for the King's Court. Blinking from Lachius is taking a ton of damage. These are 2 heavy damages, but backup's on the way.
Backup is on the way, and Sejos has it from Joe from New York as well, but this beacon is the one thing the King's Court were trying to sneak away, but it will not go in their favor. The Food Fighters get the beacon. They also get a split push onto the left-hand side. Runic Bomb used just to take down this Tier 2 tower a bit more easily.
Clean.
And now, very tough for the King's Court to deal with. Their base is wide open on 2 lanes. They have to find an opportunity somewhere, but Food Fighters aren't giving it up this game.
No, they are stepping on the gas pedal and they are not stopping. Everything they're doing is really, really clean right now. I love the way that they're kind of splitting the map up, because now they're in a position where they don't need to 5v5 because they can win fights at a number disadvantage. And what we're seeing is Lachius happy to take on 2 damage dealers on their own. Doesn't really matter if you're getting relics or getting them close to dead. The point is you're buying time for your carries in left lane to take down a tier 2. They haven't got Gold Fury yet, but the way they're splitting up the map is fantastic, and it means that the King's Court aren't able to do split pushing of their own, because that's what you need to do in a situation where you're really far behind at 25 minutes. You need to split up the map, you need to split push and try and get far. But I think Cithra could be dead here.
Cithra looks dead, but is Oreo dead to back it up? Elder is going in to try to finish off this Naja, but there is help on the way, and it comes in the form of the entire team. However, a great Scarab's Blessing again, but look at the shots coming out from Donnie from long range. Joe from New York has to retreat because Lachius is not letting them back to base easily. Now, there's still a little bit of time left on this Fire Giant for Food Fighters, and they're going to engage under this mid lane Phoenix. Another sash comes out from Oreo. Joe in big trouble. Mad Slug diving deep. Lachius is still trying to tank up this objective, but Oreo will pick off another member of King's Court. However, very low health bars, and Sejos shall punish Oreo for overstepping. Reika wants to come in now, but Reika has nothing they can do. They've already used all of their damage, now trying to run back to base, but the training exercise over the wall means that Donnie is divine. 9 kills in a row now, and this mid lane Phoenix still to fall. The King's Court bleed just too much away. This base is now wide open.
And imagine how much better that would have gone if Elder didn't fall really early in that fight. You know, we saw it just about here. Elder tried to take that 1v1. Did quite a bit of damage to Oreo, but just imagine if you have that Tsukiyomi there and ready. You don't have to use the Kepriol either on what was a failed res in the end because they killed Elder anyway. That fight would have gone so much better because health bars for the Food Fighters were so low. They had overstepped really far, but the fact is they were allowed to do that. They got the gold and the levels to be able to do that. But in the end, whilst they did get a bit low, they lost Oreo, but they were able to get a mid-Phoenix and load more pressure, load more picks, and now the door is wide open to their base, which means next Fire Giant is going to be really, really easy for them. And if I'm the King's Court, I think you have to give it up. Get a split push going, try and get some farm, try and defend then under a Phoenix as a 5. That's your best bet at the moment, because they still haven't done that. So just let it go and try and stem the bleeding as best you can.
Yeah, where is the confidence from King's Court that they had in the last game? You know, they were sort of flexing around when they could. They were down for most of the game, but they were still always up for taking engagements, and it just doesn't feel like they've got the same combination going here. You know, we've seen Elder do similar movements. Hold on, Cithra is just taking a huge amount of damage from something. I don't know what's happened to this Toth on the left-hand side of the map, but they are at about 5 HP all the time. Food Fighters have just been taking down this Fire Giant, and it does look like King's Court are going to be giving it up. They're not willing to push this any further. So can the Food Fighters break this base open even further? Reika does exactly as you tell him, listening to the cast, I bet. Gets stunned out, though, and it could get a bit worse from here. There's backup on the way. Reika gets back under the tower.
Run!
Now giving chase to other Food Fighters in this right-hand lane. Consistently hitting these stuns is Lachius. I think that was a final judgment. Just came flying past, but really not doing the damage it needed to.
No, I think off the mark, and even if it did hit, yeah, not quite able to match the items that Donnie has, for example, a whole item difference at this stage. And they've used key ultimates. Reika had to use the ultimate, Cithro used the ultimate. That's going to make this defense so much harder. Plus, you've got to deal with 5 minions in mid. Now, Elder has pushed them up pretty well. And that means they've got a little bit of breathing space before 5 minions start to push in that mid. But the fact is, the door is open and anyone could just walk in. Or I'd like to see Oreo just walk in through mid lane. But actually, they're going to push in anyway, start to get damage. There's not a lot coming out onto Phoenix right now, but it's a big engage with the Cerberus.
Engage comes out, Billy Mays in big trouble, and it
That could
gets
be big.
CC'd even further under the Phoenix, and the Phoenix shot will be enough to finish them off, so King's
good.
Court take advantage in this fight, but huge damage coming out from Donnie, and Elder brawling it out with Oreo, wants to take this fight
where's
with the
the help?
Kusaragawa. Here
Oh,
comes
he
the
does it!
Piercing Moonlight under the smallest amount of HP, will take down their opposing number. Now the right side Phoenix did eventually fall
It's a chance,
to Mad
it's a
Slug,
chance.
and look at the damage coming
Oh,
out
never
still
mind.
from Donnie. It feels like every time Donnie hits that 2 key, someone on King's Court takes a billion damage. But it is just 2 kills in favor of the King's Court, and they still lost that right side Phoenix. But it is only the right lane Phoenix, and the mid lane Phoenix is on its way back up.
Yeah, they actually should be able to get that back up. They're actually potentially looking to carry on fighting here. This is a bit more like the King's Court we saw in game number 1. They know when they need to kind of push their advantage. I wouldn't exactly call it an advantage, but they've got a potential opportunity to get some farm off the map. I think Stygian Beacon is really good to pick up at this stage of the game. It's going to do a bit of damage to those towers. I think that's really helpful at this stage. They're getting a bit more farm for themselves. They're a little bit that closer to parity. They get their mid Phoenix up. They've lost their right Phoenix, but again, it's not the left one. And as we know, if you lose your left-hand side Phoenix, that gives map pressure all the way, because suddenly you can't contest Fire Giant because you've got 5 minions pouring down the other side of the map. So this is okay. They can deal with this. They need to stay grouped. They need to not get picked, because as we said, the Food Fighters, they've got such a good pick comp with this Bacchus, with this Naja, and they're looking to do it once again, and they do use the Heavenly to try and get out of there. This is a bit of an interesting engagement because they've got Fire Giant for a little bit longer, but this time the King's Court have all their ultimates available. Can they defend this? It's a weakened Phoenix. They're going to give it up, but that's okay. I think, again, they are just kind of biding their time. This left-hand side Phoenix, this is the one they need to defend. It's not a great blink in from Bacchus, and actually they could look to go on the Cerberus here.
Oh, Cerberus so low, but here comes the damage from Donnie. Hits the Centaurus onto everybody, and that homing shot as well will just be a bit too much.
Oh, no.
Final judgment comes through there, but doesn't connect
Bacchus has the
with
TP.
anyone. And yeah, it looks like Lakians can just teleport right back into this fight and do it all again.
It's gone.
So
It's
the
gone. We're
King's
not
Court
here.
now cannot here to defend this left side Phoenix. It's getting very, very low. Hasn't
Reika.
quite fallen yet. Reika goes in first, lives by virtue of the Scarab's blessing, but the Phoenix does eventually fall down. Now Oreo will actually
okay.
fall down themselves, but trading only one for the final Phoenix on the map and the enhanced Fire Giant, spawning in about 30 seconds. This game all in the hands of Food Fighters. If they don't make any aggressions, like Mad Slug there has to burn the Aegis, Great Desert
Wow.
Fury, and shall take down Elder. But
Okay.
they do trade themselves out in the process. It looks like here Food Fighters
around
want to
the back.
continue this fight. The front line combine onto the enemy front line, but here
No
comes
damage.
the damage from Toth. Here comes the Centaurus as well, and the Aegis is too late
Time
from
low?
Cithro. Nowhere to go, falling down very, very low off the mark. Has that alternate timeline. Can they make something of this? Reika, meanwhile,
No, not there.
falling down to Donnie. Cithro dashes forward, and Lakias will continue to give chase. The beads come out, jukes out the rest of the damage from the spit. Somehow,
No.
Cithro's still alive, but still fighting it out, leaping over is
No,
Lakias.
that's not a stop.
Doesn't connect with the final shot, and Lakias now burning down. Final judgment to seal it as Sejos takes the kill. The Fire Giant's on its way to spawn, but there are so many minions in the base of the King's Court.
But you know what? I think in the end that's a 2 for 2 if my math is correct. Honestly, that could have been worse. Now, if you're Food Fighters, you've taken all 3 Phoenixes. You're in a prime position to now take what is an enhanced Fire Giant. You are having to wait on Lakias. This maybe went a little bit too far. Didn't hit all 3 shots on the one, or the paralyzing spit, which would have killed Cithro.
Yep.
Um, it's fine margins, but the reality is that Food Fighters are still so far ahead that losing on those little trades, losing by those margins, isn't really going to matter in the grand scheme of things. They're still well in control of this game. They're going to get enhanced Fire Giant. Right Phoenix will go down very, very quickly. It's really a matter of time. I just don't know how the King's Court managed this. I think what we need to see is we need to see them use the Tsukiyomi ult with the Kepri, make sure Reika is diving as well, and just try and all-in someone. Preferably Donnie on this Chiron would be good, but Mad Slug wouldn't be a bad target either. Just, you have to try and all-in someone, and then just hope that the Kepriel plus some other damage from the Thoth is enough to finish the job. But they need to be careful there. They're getting wrapped around. They should not be here to defend this Phoenix. It will go too quickly. And Lackius is all the way in the back. They don't realise.
Big flank, and Joe from New York has dashed in and now getting CC'd up against
Ooh,
but Zombie Billy Mays is taking a ton of damage in response. Took on the damage instead from Donnie. Leaping forward is Mad Slug, but nobody has fallen yet. Oh, the Desert Fury traded up for the Scarab's Blessing, but Elder now in so much danger, and Lachias will be the one to pick up the kill. That piercing moonlight didn't even go off in that fight. Now Mad Slug is low, Lachias is low, Zombie Billy Mays is low.
Don't chase,
Can the King's Court get anyone? Now Mad Slug is the one exposed, isolated on the right-hand side. Cithro dishing out the damage. Zombie Billy Mays leaps in and will instead take the aggro and should fall down. Does not get away from Cithro. Still more damage from Donnie. Mid lane Phoenix has respawned, and Food Fighters, they've lost their main frontliner, but they do still have Lachias around. Oh, good route there onto Mad Slug. Almost gets taken down by Cithro, and that will be it. The Food Fighters don't manage to take any more. Cithro stepping up, though.
Yeah, I don't. This is a risky play. Doesn't know. No. I don't think they've got any idea. And this is surely a free kick for Donnie and Mad Slug. What? They don't know.
Donnie's gone away. Cithro dashes out with the wall. Gets one route. There's the Aegis from Mad Slug, but they don't have the final shot.
No.
Too much damage from Donnie, and Cithro will fall down. But Reika catches Mad Slug, and now the Food Fighters are bleeding away. All of this enhanced Fire Giant. It's only the frontliners here for the King's Court, though they try to chase down Donnie. Meanwhile, on the left-hand side, Oreo is squaring up 1v2 in that situation, but Donnie is the only damage dealer on this side of the map. Elder taking fight, sent through the realms is Oreo on that one side. Joe from New York has been isolated. Has taken a lot of time, though, to fall down. Donnie dashes in. Great stun from Lachias. Reika can't back up. They're following frontliner. But this is all time that the King's Court needed to buy for themselves. This enhanced Fire Giant is falling away from the Food Fighters.
Yeah, the problem is they still left Phoenix respawn for the King's Court and then was taken down. I think that's what Oreo was doing. So Oreo happy to trade their life for that left-hand side Phoenix. They keep it down and they keep map pressure. That's the most crucial objective at this stage of the game. I don't mind that trade. The King's Court, they get a 2 for 2. There were more kills before that, I think. It's not going too badly for them. They still haven't been able to shut down Donnie, but we're seeing little glimpses. And if you're the Food Fighters as well, there'll just be a few doubts in your mind. They'll be just at the back there. You're thinking, this isn't as easy as it's supposed to be. They'll start to be, there'll be a little bit of pressure on them now, because from their point of view, this game should be over. But I just think they overcommitted on that right in Phoenix. What they should have done is play it a bit more slowly, wait for 5 minutes to give you pressure, wait for them to start piling into Titan, and just play it patient, because you know that you've got such a good pick comp. One bit of CC onto anyone that's slightly out of position, and you can get a kill so freely, even through a Kepri. They just needed to slow that down a bit and calm themselves down, but they're still in a really dominant spot. If you're the King's Court, you're thinking, we're starting to win these fights. We're 37 minutes into a game. At this point, items and gold, they don't really matter, because everyone's basically on a level playing field. Maybe a few power potions different at this stage. And as a result, the King's Court, their comp is starting to work. We just need to see maybe Elder use that ultimate, find a good target, use it with a Kepriel. We are seeing there's the potential for this comp to work here. Lackius needs to be a bit careful, but actually, ult for ult, you're not too unhappy about that, right? Phoenix is spawning, but again, if this is a straight 5v5, They're going to wait for Enhanced Fire Giant. This is just so tough to call now at this stage because it feels like both
Yep.
teams are in a position where, oh, they don't want to throw this away. They don't want to lose this. And that might favour the King's Court with how they've been playing. The Food Fighters need to keep up this level of aggression. They need to. They don't want to step off the gas too much, if that makes sense. Just keep going, get this Enhanced Fire Giant, get what you know you can take, and then it'll naturally come to you if you just play your own game.
And of course, Food Fighters were in a very similar position in game number 1, but they found themselves with all of the tools they needed, but they couldn't break the base that time. This time, playing it much more carefully, have slowed it down, are really trying to pick apart the King's Court. They don't want to overcommit. And it's the smart thing to do when you've dropped game 1 in the way that they have, right? They're clearly responding to that and making the adjustments they need. But Oreo, not Crypt, got the message and has been taken down by Cithro. So no matter what, Food Fighters will be stepping up with an Enhanced Fire Giant, but in a 4 versus 5 situation. And that might be the difference. Billy Mays going in early. Not wanting to wait because up on the left-hand side, you can see Elder is on the map. Runic Bomb goes down, and that will be this Phoenix down there. Is a final judgment onto Zombie Billy Mays, but is there more damage from the King's Court to take them out? It doesn't look like it. Everyone's trading blows back and forth. The King's Court one in.
Someone hit Donnie.
Like
Someone hit Donnie.
Fighters one out. Donnie still full health. Mad Slug frontlining here for their team. Raken now in big danger, and Mad Slug takes them down. It's 4-on-4 now. But Elder still pushing on the left-hand side.
I mean, he's going to be out of Phoenix, but meanwhile, the Food Fighters can just run through the entire base. They're going to get all 3 Phoenixes at this stage. I don't think this is worth it from Elder. I mean, you are going to break the base. Maybe they can get another pick if they've got the damage. They do. Actually, maybe this isn't so bad for them.
Oh, the front line just crumbling for Food Fighters.
It's only carries. It's only carries.
It is only the carries left alive. Fantastic route onto Donnie, but Mad Slug firing off shots. Cithro trying to dish out the damage in response. Donnie now leaping away. Mad Slug falls down. Oh, fantastic there. Scarab's Blessing comes out, but before that is the alternate timeline. Now Donnie is still low and still alive, but will it be the end of the godlike? They have died. Can they find a kill for the reset? They get the reset. They get the godlike, and then they get shut down by Elder. Shades of game 1. The Food Fighters cannot end this game.
This is starting to feel like a bit of a throw. They've got their left-hand Phoenix up for the King's Court. They finally took down Donnie. That's a 13-0 shutdown. I didn't see who got it, actually, but it's an enormous shutdown, and that will give you so much momentum. You just feel like, hang on, this game is suddenly right back in our hands. You've still got that left-hand Phoenix up. You've taken away theirs, so you've actually opened the base up for yourself. You've given yourself a win condition, a way back into this game. Suddenly, this next Enhanced Fire Giant is going to be really, really interesting. They're going to get Oni Fury as well. This is an incredible swing for them, and now this is really tough to call because I think the King's Court are right back into this. As we said, items, gold, they don't matter. Levels don't matter. And now they're in a position where map state is pretty even, I would say, in terms of who's got what, in terms of Titan health, in terms of Phoenixes. This is really tough to call now, and it will come down to a straight 5v5. It's just about who's going to get that pick first, who's going to land that first bit of CC. I think this will favour the team that engages first. Either whoever sashes first, or if Elder can get a good ultimate into the back line with a Kepriol. I just want to see it happen, and if they can take the fight on their terms, then this is going to potentially go the way of the King's Court. I think this is so tough to call. It's right up in the air, and all because I think the Food Fighters just overstayed their welcome that little bit much.
Yeah, Food Fighters not wanting to wait around for this next fire. Look, they're sneaking around these corners, waiting for an opportunity, but they happen to be waiting around the one lane that the King's Court don't need to push. So there's certainly not going to be anyone there, and there are actually only fire minions at the doorstep of the Food Fighters. Now, Mad Slug will be able to clear that one away, but the rest of the lanes are relatively pushed up for the King's Court. It is just this Pyromancer available for Food Fighters, and they will take it. But what do the Food Fighters need to do to really seal this game off? It seems like everything's in their favor, but it's not quite working yet.
I actually think they need to be doing more of the dropping a sentry ward, everyone sit on this sentry ward and wait for someone to come around a corner. I think you just have to be patient. because again, what we've seen from both these teams is patience isn't a strength of either of them. I would say with the way they're playing, the fights they always want to take. So actually, if you're able to just wait for someone to step up, because that will happen at some point, and all you need to be doing is grouped up as five, make sure you have some follow-up damage, and just kill someone, because that will open the door massively. Because as we know, it's 44 minutes into the game. Death timers are going to be incredibly long. Getting one single pick can open the door for you. But now, the state of this game is incredible because they're all Phoenixes are going to be back up for both sides. Time's going to heal up for King's Court. EFG is spawning. No one's got map pressure anymore. This is an even game.
It's a pretty much even game. There is one fire minion in the mid lane, and there's one fire minion wave in the left lane as well. That is the only thing tilting the scales any one way. Now, the King's Court have felt confident enough to step up. Looks like the Caius.
Oh, don't get picked.
Elder for this.
Can't get picked.
Use the beads, use the Aegis, but now they are caught. And Cithro fires off the damage. Elder falls down first, though the final judgment doesn't hit anybody. So now the scales tipped even further in favor of Food Fighters. It is 4 versus 5 for this Fire Giant. Looks like the King's Court are going to have to give it up.
Yeah, it's exactly what we said. Wait for someone to be at position, and they have the numbers to punish that. You just can't get caught out like that, especially when your teammates weren't ready nearby. Now, I don't mind this defense. It is enhanced Fire Giant 45 minutes in. I do think you need to do something. It's a great route, actually, and Fire Giant's doing a ton of damage to the Food Fighters. They need to be careful here. They're essentially a 5v5, but a blinking from Raker. This is even. Food Fighters, they take it. But what's going to happen after the fact?
Breaker now in big danger, has to retreat back to base. The Fire Giant on all 5 members of Food Fighters. Lakias goes in. This is where it all matters. Cithro, low health, taking a 1v1. Zombie Billy Mays so low. The damage from Sehost is great. Raker still alive, finally falls down. Oreo just about alive as well. Now the 3 remaining members of King's Court have to retreat, but Joe from New York cannot retreat any further. Has managed to get the Scarab's blessing on themselves. But look at Cithro taking the fight to Mad Slug, taking down this Anher, and is now on the map. And a big threat. Elder has respawned. All 3 Phoenixes still up. Like you said, that's game-saving play from Cithro. They're somehow still alive. Can they get back to base, though? Donnie's giving chase. They have to back right now. And I'm not sure Food Fighters are going to be able to stop them. Donnie can't see them. Oh, the minions! The minions at the last possible second will stop it. Cithro has used their dash. Zombie Billy Mays will have the CC over the wall. Cithro can do no more. If it was a game-saving play by them earlier, it's a game-saving play by the Food Fighters minion wave.
Oh my goodness, such fine margins. You know what? You're still happy about it because I saw Cithro in the back. I was like, what's on earth's happening? Gets a kill onto Mad Slug, and suddenly the Food Fighters are like, oh, our Anna's just died. There's a fourth somewhere in our back line. We can't, there's Phoenixes to kill. We can't end here. We can't do anything. And actually, with Elder spawning as well, it's now a 4v4. I mean, maybe they get a mid Phoenix. I think you're happy to give up a mid Phoenix. Your Titan's full HP. Just keep up your side Phoenixes. This is absolutely fine for King's Court. And that's all because Cithro gets a pick onto Mad Slug. If that doesn't happen and Cithro dies, this game is over.
Here they go. Ingo, the front line. Another runic bomb goes down. The Phoenix about to fall. Look at Seho's health and Elder's health already deleted. They surely have to retreat from here as this mid lane. Phoenix has fallen down. Now Reika retreats back to base. What do Food Fighters do? Can they look to push forward? And it looks like they're going to turn their attention to this right side Phoenix, but no minion wave to help them. Means they just have to settle for this mid lane Phoenix. We are 47 minutes, 47 seconds into this game, and it still is not clear who is going to come out on top.
No, it feels like the Food Fighters are still have the momentum. They have the slight advantage. They've broken the base once again, but it's going to be a straight-up 5v5.
Huge
Ultimates
beacon.
are nearly back up. This is it. This is the time where King's Court have to make a play. I just think you have to go in, try and make something happen. Because in a war of attrition, I think the King's Court will eventually take these Phoenixes. The minions will eventually get into Titan and it will eventually go down. Good ultimate from the Chiron. Gets Sehosh low. That opens the door and this Phoenix is low. It's not dead.
Phoenix is already dead. Oh my
Whoa!
goodness, as is Mad
Cithro
Slug
again.
shut down, clothesline by that final judgment, but Zombie Billy Mays wants to cut them down, but Joe from New York gets taken to the sky, so still 1-for-1 across the
not
map,
used.
fighting back and forth, but Elder now falling down. Donnie is still
What's the
dishing
ult?
out the damage. Zombie Billy Mays firing off. Cithro trying to do whatever they can to keep their team in this game. Oreo solo, but will be able to get some distance. Cannot close it and cannot
Defend the
fire it
base.
off his Cithro. But Raken now fights up against the front line
not
of the
over.
enemy team. Still, the King's Court survive. Food Fighters cannot finish them off. Cithro with yet another game-saving play.
An enormous final judgment was being pelted in the face by a Desert Fury. Fantastic shot from Cithro. Once again, I think that does it. I think that stops them from ending the game. They also take down Donnie. It's the Thoth that's doing a ton of damage. I think Sehos is doing a lot too. Man, this is incredible to watch. The Food Fighters, I don't know what more they can do because they're doing all the right things. It's just a random snipe here that's getting them down. Maybe they're over-aggressing on their targets. I think Donnie dashing in is also a death sentence because you need Donnie alive if you want to have a chance of ending the game, just for the kill pressure, and let alone the Titan damage. Suddenly, well, obviously, it's still a great fight for Food Fighters. They take down all three Phoenixes. I think Oreo is doing a great work of split pushing at the right time and then coming in to sweep up, clean up some kills. It's just fine margins, though, and I think if we're talking about how close this game is, we need to see Elder getting that ultimate off. That's many times that we've seen this Tsukiyomi ult not being used, and Elder going into the Grayscale having not used that ultimate. The Kepri ult wasn't able to be used in that fight because they were able to CC the Kepri out. Now, unfortunately, this is a kind of tough. I do think they have to give this up. The map stage is just not favouring them, but at some point you do have to take the fight. They're clearly not taking this one, but when do you at this stage? You've lost your Phoenixes. I think if Food Fighters wanted, they could just rush the Titan, but Raker could be in trouble here. Once again, they're looking for a pick.
Getting caught, uses the Watery Grave. Does have the dash, gets a good angle away as well to escape, but all of the CC is chaining them down, and finally they will take off a kill. King's Court have been struggling to go down, and that's a big ult off the table yet again from Cithro. And now there are 5 members in the right-hand lane. This mid lane Phoenix on its way back up, but the Food Fighters don't want to wait. They want to end this game, but like the King's Court right now, firing on the Donnie. Donnie survives with an Aegis. Food Fighters now must be thinking the King's Court, like the Undertaker at WrestleMania, just will not go down. Sustaining through these fights somehow, always living just a bit. Cithro dashes forward, getting really aggressive, wants to take this fight down, but the Titan is just getting so low and will finally fall down. The Food Fighters cannot kill off all of King's Court, so they just take down the Titan. We are going to a game number 3.
Well, that was much more difficult than it was supposed to be. I mean, on the one hand, credit to King's Court for holding out for so long, but it kind of feels like that was more the Food Fighters not quite being able to finish off that game. It was always in their hands. Eventually, they got to the map state where fire minions were pouring in. They had the numbers advantage, and they just piled onto the time because at 47 minutes, you have too much damage to be dealt with. Very well played. Sometimes it was really clean, sometimes it really wasn't, but they won't care at all. They are now on an even keel. They get to go into a game number 3, and man, I just don't know how you deal with that if you're King's Court, because on the one hand, you're pleased that you were able to hold out for so long, but on the other hand, that must have been such a rough game to play in. Not a lot went right, and I think back to the drawing board for them. Rethink your picks. As much as I loved their draft, but I just think they need a little bit of a rethink and reset. This is now a best of 1. Think of it that way.
Well, the Food Fighters can take great confidence going into this game 3, because not only have they been the dominant team across both games so far, they have now proven that eventually they can kill the King's Court. So they have at least shown, not only to us, but mainly to themselves, that these guys can eventually go down. So they have to keep doing pretty much exactly what they've been doing, and that shall hopefully set them off in this third game, but it is absolutely anyone's game right now. These two teams are clearly very evenly matched. Anyone watching, you do not want to miss the outcome of this game. So we're going for a quick break, but do not, and I mean do not, go anywhere. And we are back for this third and final game of the Abyss division between King's Court and Food Fighters. These are two very evenly matched teams, as evidenced by the fact that we are heading in to this third and final game. But it's not been smooth sailing, in particular for one of these teams, Zats, because it looks like Food Fighters have had the edge so far this set.
Yeah, they've certainly had the edge. I think certainly that game number two was all Food Fighters, and it really was domination from them, it felt like. They just switched it on about 15, 20 minutes, and the ball never stopped rolling, although it never quite reached its finishing point, I suppose you could say. But nonetheless, I think we're now in a state where, okay, it's a best of one, go back to basics. And for me, one of the first things I want to see in picks and bans is get rid of these ADCs in the mid lane, these ability based hunters. It's just not worth seeing them because I think if you think about the two solo laners in that game number two, especially,
Yep.
one of them was having a great time, the other was not. And that's because only one of them was being slapped by and peppered by shots from two ADCs. The other one only had to deal with the Heimdall. And actually, that's much easier to deal with when you know you can just get in the face of a Thoth and not have to worry about getting shredded down. So for me, that's the big change up that I need to see.
Yeah, not surprising that there's been a big lack of Bake Kujira being picked up, but also no Athena being picked up, I've noticed. I don't think it's been banned at all. So with these high priority, generally, bans being taken off the table, and this set, they're all being ignored. So if they are
Mm,
all being ignored, then you can commit. Why not three bans? Like ban the AMC, ban
absolutely.
out the Chiron, and maybe ban the Marticorus as well, and just see what's left from there. But right now, it's been tough. But I think if you were to take those off the table, are there any mages you'd maybe like to see? Are there any mages coming to mind that would suit the playstyles of these teams?
I mean, I do think the Thoth actually worked just fine anyway. That's an obvious one that comes to mind. Other than that, you're maybe looking for something to match that in terms of secure. Thinking maybe like Vulcan would be a really interesting pickup. I think with the damage that's happening in the game anyway, just go for big numbers. You'll hit an ult at some point. You'll be able to secure objectives. Really, anything that can build Mirrodin, that can build Conduit Gem in the early game. There's lots open. And I think as long as all those ability based hunters are off the table, I think you can really justify quite a lot of mages in the mid lane.
Well, let's see what these teams decide to hang their hats on as we head on in to picks and bans for game number 3. And this is the all important one, right, Zets? Because when you've been in a set like this, you've sort of had the opportunity to feel out how the other team is going to play. It then really has to come down to what you decide to do in this final picks and bans. Because, you know, there's no surprises anymore, right? We know that both these teams just want to fight. They want to be active. They want to play these mid lane ADCs. So while you've got all that information, you then need to translate that into a cohesive composition to fight against that. You know, there's no secrets left. And I'm really curious to see what these teams go for because there's been high priority on certain gods like the Marticorus previously, which has now been banned. We also saw high priority on the Cerberus, which has not been banned this time through. So I do wonder exactly how these teams are going to go.
Yeah, and I actually wouldn't be surprised to see the Cerberus taken again. Osiris is
Ooh.
a bit more of a left field pick for me. Certainly a more than capable solo laner. It's very much a different style, but I think Osiris can work particularly, into these kind of double ADC comps that we're seeing. Osiris is just one of the tankiest gods in the game, and your ability to mix it up in the back line, to stay there and kind of bait with your health bar and with the mitigations you get for so long, you're able to create a lot of space. And for me, that's what makes Osiris particularly strong, and I think maybe a little bit underrated. So I don't hate it. I am a little bit surprised that we haven't gone back to the Guardians because we talked about the back A maybe not being picked up, maybe because Conduit Gem isn't as apparently good on back A, but any Guardian that can use Conduit Gem, you really think you could
Ooh.
prioritize.
Well, there is an Athena that has been picked up by Food
Hmm.
Fighters. I had mentioned that we hadn't really seen a lot of this god, but finally, we do see Athena coming through, and it is a return to the Sobek Hachiman dual lane of the King's Court. But Food Fighters now taking the Ishtar Athena. In fact, I think it might have been Food Fighters in the first game actually taking Sobek Hachiman. So a big switch up now, especially when you consider way back when in game number 1 how they'd gone for that Nuwa Fafnir style, a completely different fit situation here, but they have now picked up that on her, so they've again gone to a double ADC comp, but this time one of them is at least probably not going to be ability focused. What do you think about that?
That's interesting. I do think both these ADCs do have flex potential into the mid lane. I think they do a fine job. I don't know which I'd favour. I mean, Hachiman, very very safe. The clear is useful, and you'll be able to solo camps pretty well. Arno can do it just as well. I wouldn't really rate one over the other. I would say you're probably not going to have as much kill potential in the mid lane. You're going to be more about fighting with your jungler or with your support. So I think that actually favours having the Hatchman in mid, because
Yep.
Anher can just fight solo in 1v1, and that's probably better oriented into that duo lane. But I actually think it doesn't really matter. The point is we're not seeing an ability-based hunter in the mid lane, and for me that can only be a good thing. But I do think in the late game, in a way, it will be worse for a tank, because that's two hunters with lots of pen in their kits and in their builds. That's going to make it tough, especially for this Osiris to tank effectively. But if anyone's going to do it, maybe it is the Osiris with lots of mitigations that can actually pull it off.
So we do see a resurgence of this Cerberus coming through in the solo lane for the King's Court this time. So definitely going to be seeing some more of how that god can be played, but this time obviously on the other side. And I was quite like to see the way that these teams do it sometimes, where we saw a great game from the Cerberus previously, but now when it's the same god, the exact same god, in the hands of a completely different player, sometimes you can see almost an entirely different performance coming out. So very very excited to see what the King's Court can do with this, because it's a pretty much an all-in comp, right? They've got this great front line from the Cerberus and Sobek. They've got great damage in the back line from Anher and Hachiman, but they need to pick targets to lock down. And if they're not killing people off, like let's say one at a time, it's going to be very tough. But wow, that is a Loki coming out from Food Fighters. Do not see that god very often, Zats, and I get the feeling you're about to tell me why.
Honestly, I actually don't hate Loki right now. I think Loki works
Sick.
with all the items that are good on junglers. I mean, Transcendence, Jotuns. You can build all the usual items that junglers are wanting to build right now anyway. I kind of don't hate it. Now, I do think you'll have a lot of trouble in the late game isolating a target. Anher and Hachiman are particularly difficult to dive. They're very safe. They've got CC, and as long as the two backliners are together, you are never going to have an easy pick. You can kind of run the early game as a Loki. I do think you can get ahead. Your ganks are pretty effective. Whereas Hummat, on the other side, as we've seen locked in for the King's Court, is going to be a bit more passive, a bit more farm oriented, looking to get to that later stages of the game. I think it's an interesting one. I don't hate the Loki pick. I do think it also pairs very well with the Athena, but again, you're going to have to be very, very patient with choosing to engage and making sure that your Osiris is creating enough space and burning enough relics and cooldowns. That's what you're going to have to be wary of, and then you can go in with the Loki. But patience hasn't been a buzzword for either of these teams so far, so we'll see how that goes.
But it is a 3-game saga from the Abyss division for the Food Fighters and the King's Court. Let's see how this rounds out as we head on in to game number 3. Now, we have had word that there is a substitute for Food Fighters for this game. It's actually Donnie dropping out, and there's a familiar face coming into the support role. That is Printers taking the spot of the Athena, but this really shakes up the lineup for Food Fighters, and they're going to have to find a way to make all of these adjustments as Zombie Billy Mays finds himself in the solo lane.
Yeah, so that's a switch from the support. You've got Lackeus in the mid lane, and Printers going to the support role. We'll see how that goes. I think Lackeus played really well on the Cerberus. And actually I think Zombie Billy Mays has looked really good this set. Whatever they're playing, so I don't think it'll be too much of a problem. We'll see how this Athena goes. Obviously switching up the support pick. I don't particularly love the Athena here. As I mentioned, it works kind of well with the Loki or even with the Osiris, but actually into taunts, I don't think the follow up is fantastic. I think Morgan Le Fay is more of a damage over time kind of mage. You know,
Yes.
she can all in, she has a lot of damage, but really she's looking to poke you out. And I don't think that lends itself amazingly to following up onto that confound. But I think it could still work, as most mages can. Also interested to see the Anher going to mid.
Yes.
I kind of mentioned my preference, but I don't think it matters too much. It's an aggression. It's a 2v2, a fight over the right-hand side mids. I'm not sure who this favours, but looks like most of them went to the way of the food fighters.
Yeah, and I think when you have these early fights in mid, it's generally accepted that there's not a whole lot of kill potential, but Anher himself actually has pretty good early kill potential, but there's still potential in the right-hand lane as Elder now shows up. Zombie Billy Mays had stepped up high to clear the way. The leaps come
Load.
through, the slow from Elder. One more
Oh.
shot, doesn't find it, and that will not be a first blood cringe gank. But we've seen this all along in this set. The King's Court love to send their jungler over to this solo lane early on, but on the left-hand lane, Oreo making an early rotation onto the food fighters side of the map over here.
On the Sobek.
And Slug goes in. Sobek has been the target. Fantastic body block there from the decoy coming out. A substitute, no problem. The dual lane for the food fighters pull ahead with first blood.
That was a really cool decoy, actually. The agonizing visions dropped to block that path. Perfectly done into the taunt. I also had to blink past a meteor, which was spawning in, ready to knock him up. But really nicely played, actually, from Oreo. It's kind of as you'd expect. This is how the junglers have played it. Oreo has oriented to the left-hand side, this dual lane side, whereas Elder has almost always gone to that solo lane side. And, you know, I don't think that's going to favour the Humbats particularly. You're going to need a bit more to kill an Osiris, but whereas Loki, very easy job, especially when Joe from New York is committing the plug without really having vision on their jungle. Maybe that's about comms, and that's, you know, being a bit more aware, a bit more cognizant of where the jungler is right now, because
Yes.
as we said, traditionally in these last two games, Oreo has always gone to the duo side and not followed Elder, which some junglers prefer to do. Some junglers prefer to alternate their rotations rather than matching them. Actually, I think if you're more aware of that, you maybe know what's coming. Again, just the fact that no Loki on the map, maybe you should be a bit more careful.
Yeah, of course, trying to get a charge prey off, you know, no matter what the situation, if you're dashing forward, you are trying to make something happen. But like you said, trying to make an opportunity happen when there's no Loki on the map, it's just always going to be a risk, you know, and I don't think that Joe from New York was quite alert to that risk, which is understandable after playing two very long games already. It can cause a little bit of fatigue, but fatigued is Zombie Billy Mays as they get taken down by Raker. Does that count as a solo kill? Might as well be a solo kill.
Yeah,
Elder there, though,
so.
nearby, and gets the assist as well. That's the first kill for the King's Court, and onto their Cerberus, who, you know, taking it away from the enemy team this time. It just looks like Cerberus this set is having a great time.
I think that this already feels like proof that maybe Guardians are winning at the moment. I think especially with this Conduit Gem, obviously it got buffed. That's given a lot of these oh, hang on, Precious. Cithro's under a lot of trouble. Falls to, again, Oreo, just a free gank, not on the map. Where's the Loki? Probably coming to gank you. You just have to be a bit more aware of that. Nice attempt. Did get Lucky's very low, but yeah, that's a bit of trouble now. That's a 2-0 Loki. Already got the Ownflaff online. You're not going to have much of a response from Elder for a little while yet. You need to slow this down just a little bit. Don't give Loki any more kills.
Yeah, Food Fighters, of course, have been having the advantage pretty much this whole set, and look to be getting off that way as well. Now, it's actually a goal lead in favor of the King's Court so far. They're doing a better job of just collecting their buffs, getting a bit of extra farm, but Food Fighters have, like we said, all along been winning these fights in this sort of mid-stage. Now, Elder here is level 7. Both junglers just going to walk by each other there, you know. That's the most EU thing I've ever seen. like in this game. Like I actually don't really believe. Like, can we check that we are in the right region here? Like that was
Printers
so
is here,
shocking.
so-
Well, yeah, but look, you bring printers in from EU, and all of a sudden everyone just goes all chill, and everyone's more than happy. But I don't know, Sets, do you maybe have an explanation there for why me, the jungler, felt the need to go for an engagement there?
You're just not interested in fighting. I think. Certainly Elder, like even with the ultimate, I mean, you'd think that favors actually Zombie Billy Mays. I don't think you're going to win this trade, buddy.
Ooh, goes for the full fight, but Reika just takes no damage, gets away from
Surely,
the soul
yeah.
expulsion, but gets their soul exposed anyway as they fall down. Another solo kill in the solo lane. Reika having a great time of it over here, and this is now alarm bells for Oreo. They have to be aware of what could potentially come through, and Elder drops the Fear No
Not the
Evil,
best ult.
does manage to steal it away, but now they're in some trouble. Kajira's the Caius to lock down this Hoonbats. The damage comes out. Printers sneaks away the kill. More than happy with that on an Athena, and that is a kill being traded right back. Cithro, though, might be in some danger, wants to get these mid-camps by themselves, but Printer's all alone, just putting some poke out. Almost got impaled under the tower there. I did spot that one out, but gets away, and wow, it springs to life all of a sudden, does this game.
Yeah, I think Elder did get the blue buff, but the ult wasn't really on the mark. Generally, you know, I think the Loki was a bit too slippery because the reality is Loki doesn't have beads, and Elder will have noticed that, knows that it's a good target, but actually didn't get Loki in the full circle. And yes, you secured the blue buff, which I think was the aim, to be fair, but again, another big rotation coming out from the food fighters. I guess what we've seen, they're so willing to make 4-person rotations to either side lane. You have to be a little bit wary of that, I think. But nonetheless, you're still fairly happy with how it's going because you're taking pressure away from Zombie Billy Mays on this Osiris. You're removing the blue buff, and frankly, this is the key pressure point now because this Osiris is just falling more and more behind you. You've not been able to build into any physical defense yet. That's a big problem because physical defense is generally just better at the early stages of the game. The items are better. You know, you compare what he's got on Only Hunters now to what could be a breastplate of valor with 20% CDR and 600 mana or whatever it is, right? You're just in a really bad spot. I don't like this Warrior's Axe on the Osiris either. I think after it got nerfed, you're also fighting into a character's anti-heal, but I'll hold that thought. It's a big scrap, but our handbacks is here.
Oh, here we go. Elder gets a big ultimate. Printers does drop that Defender of Olympus, but Mad Slug shall fall nevertheless. Oh, but a back. Oh, fantastic blink from Elder. Stops that charge away. But what can Oreo do about this? Not a whole lot, unfortunately. But it's a double kill for Joe from New York there. Puts more kills in the pocket of this Sobek. Plenty of success there so far. Zombie Billy needs to be careful here. If that's stun connected, that could be big danger. But a double kill in dual lane for the King's Court, that's exactly what you'd be looking for at this phase.
Yeah, that's a nice response, actually. And it was actually really nice positioning as well from Elder. And the ult was good enough. Again, a little bit, I wouldn't say, you know, perfect positioning of that Fear No Evil, but did enough, I think, to catch them both with that fear. And in the end, it was enough. It was enough to get those kills, and Oreo doing a decent job. But again, a little bit too late because, as we mentioned, Oreo doesn't have that same CC, the same team fight presence that Elder has. Very good in the 1v1, but when in these bigger engagements with the dual lanes involved, that's naturally gonna favour the King's Court you have to fill. And as a result, they're pretty far ahead. They already had solo pressure. They got a couple of kills now in the duo lane. Mid is chugging along just fine, a little bit behind thanks to that earlier kill from Oreo, but you're not too concerned at this stage. King's Court, very happy with how things are going. They don't need to go crazy now with anything with these engages. But speaking of which, we are having an engage.
Big damage out here come the big circles, but firing back some damage.
Whoa,
And all of the rest of the food fighters. Mad Slug on a big rotation, picks up 2 kills for their trouble as well. Now Oreo wants to give chase. Another
what a
fantastic body block coming through. Lakias picking up that kill. 3 kills for the food fighters in a quick succession there, and that doesn't quite equalize the goal, but it's exactly what they need to feel more comfortable as they get into this mid-game stage.
Yeah, and I wonder if they could have actually gone for Gold Fury there. I mean, Seos was still around on the Hachiman. Reika had just backed, and I wondered actually if Reika was going to TP to left, worried about that gold Fury, but instead TPing back to that solo lane to keep up that pressure. And in the end, that's the correct thing to do because, again, they chose not to go for that gold Fury. As a result, they're still a little bit behind, but again, it's a pretty good fight from them. And I think Cyrus needs to be really careful, maybe not respecting Cerberus damage, but Printers going in, having to dash out. Sehost doing a lot of damage. This is the Hachi pressure we always expect, and actually looking for the fight on Mad Slug instead.
Look at that 1v2. Seho's just firing off shots. Does not care about any possible danger as they're the team having the rotation. King's Court have more members nearby. And it seems like Mad Slug just struggling a little bit here. Did get those 2 kills, so that's going to help this Ishtar up massively. Oh, the Princess has been caught. The loop round comes through. There's a Fear No Evil. Just a gigantic CC chain. Joe from New York again picking up another kill. And 3 kills now on this Sobek. At some point, you need to learn to share, Joe. But for now, just puts it all in the pocket of this Croc. And that's why you're going to see this Sobek now have much better time as they make this rotation to the mid lane.
And you've got to say that there's nothing more scary than a Sobek with 3 kills, regardless of what lane they're in. Renka does steal that away once again, just dominating this lane. I really think this Osiris is quite doing what we want it to do. Elder is around, not quite the same damage that Reika has at this stage, and Reika did take a good bit of damage as well. But yeah, it's an interesting one because it feels like the King's Court is still very much in control, despite the fact that they maybe, they got another good pick onto Printers. It's actually a very big grouping here for the first beacon. It's 12 minutes, Printers gets plucked in. This looks to be favouring the King's Court at the moment, but health bar not the best, as we mentioned on Reika, and getting poked out by Lakis as well.
Yeah, Reika is here for the rotation, as is Mad Slug, actually. So 1 member from each team currently absent from the fight. Oreo, though, plucked into danger, has to get out and has to ult on over that wall as well. And that will be the first beacon of the game going the way of King's Court. Meanwhile, Mad Slug getting fought by Sejos. Maybe an attempt on the mid lane tower instead. Zombie Billy Mays finally makes the long rotation over, but might be in a little bit of danger. Is the same level as this Sobek, of course, gets the pluck onto Lakias, the horrific as well. And look at the damage
really
coming out.
cool.
Cancels the ult, goes for the Aegis, but it does not matter. Cithro gets a kill with more help from Joe from New York.
Joe from New York did everything perfectly there. Fantastic use of the horrific emblem just to stop any healing coming out from that Morgan Le Fay ult. Brilliant play. Laki's not respecting the damage coming out. That's one thing about this on her mid, is you don't always have setup when you're playing on her in the long lane. But because your support might go away, but in the mid lane, when you've got someone like Sobek to set up for you, you can hit so many shots with that Desert Fury, and actually the damage can come out. It's pretty alarming. So maybe not respecting that quite enough. But yeah, King's Court, they're still extending their lead. They get another pick onto that mid lane. This is a pretty significant gold lead for 14 minutes or so. We haven't actually seen one quite this early before. I kind of don't know what Food Fighters need to do. It feels like maybe they need to take more engagements, using that Athena taunt a little bit better. But we mentioned, do they have the follow-up? It's not really quite yet there yet with the Morgan Le Fay. It does have the Chronos Pendant and the Book of Thoth pretty much finished now. So there's certainly damage online. But again, it feels like there's no good target to go on. And I think that's partly because Joe from New York is making so much space, but it's engagement onto Reiko.
Reiko seems to be their target of choice. Here comes the assassinate. Look at the big commitment. And finally, the kill shall go down. It's the supports taking all the kills on this map. But now that leaves the Gold Fury open. And there is nobody at all from the Food Fighters on this side of the map. They could potentially teleport over with the front line, but instead opt to sacrifice that Gold Fury. And that's only going to extend this gold lead for the King's Court. And like you'd mentioned, we haven't really seen a lead this big so early so far this set. But not only that, we actually haven't seen a lead at all for the King's Court. So we're going to have to see now what they can do with having that. It's them now that are the ones on the front foot. And can they press the advantage in the same way that the Food Fighters were able to?
Honestly, the way they played the map there was really clean. They were able to push out Mad Slug as well, and that's something we didn't quite see. But Mad Slug was in base, whether buying items or didn't have the health to fight. But that's the pressure that Sehost has got. That enables you to actually go for that gold fury, because it's all well and good baiting with your solo laner and drawing three people over. You know, you use that global ultimate on printers to commit that kill. You do need three people to get that kill, and the bait is fine, but you have to make sure that your team is actually in a position where they can counter it by doing objectives. And Seho's just is certainly able to do that. Really well played. And again, Raker is screaming worth, because that's just going to up the gold lead by more. Raker's still not remotely concerned by anything that's happening in this lane. There's no chance of being 1v1 by Zombie Billy Mays at this point, who is going to continue to struggle. Only level 14 at this stage, and will just get worse when having to face with two shredding auto attackers.
Ooh, Seiho's there, forced to run away from the fight. Mad Slug tried to fire off the shots. There's the assassinate.
Great
Gets
fluff.
the beats. Oh, but damage onto Oreo in response. But Mad Slug firing off. Dashes forward with the jolt. Can you
Surely.
find the last couple of basics? Printers is there to clean up, and instead, the attention of the damage dealer might turn to Joe from New York. Instead, will they commit to this Soulback? Doesn't look like it, because Lakias is being committed on in the mid lane. And that will be a trade out for Cithro. Backliner for backliner. Mid for ADC. I'm not sure if that benefits anyone, but it does still keep the King's Court in the lead.
Yeah, it's nice to get a kill onto Sehus, who, as we mentioned, was having plenty of pressure, pretty much a free lane, not much in the way of competition from this Ishtar. You also keep Lakius a little bit further down, and that's a nice look for Cithro, who I think has been at times the real win condition for the King's Court. So I think that's perfectly fine. It does feel like any time the food fighters feel like they're taking a good fight, it's only because they've rotated three people over to try and win that fight, and then suddenly the King's Court, well, okay, but we can just commit and win a fight somewhere else, or take an objective somewhere else. So it feels very much they're still in control, and whilst Food Fighters are able to get the occasional pick, they're not actually getting anything in response to this, because the King's Court have always got something to match that pick.
Well, now, looks like the King's Court are going to turn their attention to this Pyromancer. Zombie Billy Mays communicating that to the rest of their team. And here comes Printers with the Defender of Olympus. This is not so easy from the King's Court, but there's no real steal potential in the King's Court. Will get that objective, but here comes the fight after the fact. Printers again being focused down, but is quite tanky on this Athena. Now Zombie Billy Mays to receive the same treatment from the King's Court. Lots of CC coming through, but a leap over the wall will keep them safe, but the front line of the Food Fighters has been squished up now. Will be in danger is Lakias, and there is nobody to back them up. Gets an Aegis off, but Cithro will pick up the kill. Great taunt coming through, and great damage from Mad Slug, but the health bar so low from Sehost, but it is still not enough for them to fall. The front line from the Food Fighters forced to retreat all the way away. Oreo looping around the backside to catch anyone off. Printers too late with the dash, and now this Loki actually might be being hunted. I wonder if they're aware that everyone seems to know about their presence on the side of the King's Court. Instead, King's Court make eyes for this Fire Giant. Oreo still working.
I'm getting flashbacks. It's a Loki running off to the other side of the map, split pushing. But anyway, Oreo does have potential here, and they really don't know that Oreo is there. This is a risky, because this is a 90-minute Fire Giant. No one's tanky. Joe from New York already dead.
Joe from New York already dead. The Fire Giant goes the way of the King's Court, does not get stolen by Oreo, who committed the assassinate. Now Sehost is still low and will have to back the base. You only take one member off the board, though, as the Food Fighters, and it felt like there was more on the table there, but the King's Court did what they had to, and they get a very early Fire Giant in this game.
Yeah, and I'm kind of surprised. I mean, I shouldn't be that surprised. You know, you've got the double ADC. Obviously, it's going to burn very, very quickly. I felt like there's more of a contest, though. Well, there at least should have been. Oreo had great positioning, got the pick that I think he needed to do. Joe from New York isn't too unhappy because you secured the Fire Giant for your team. That's absolutely fine. But I didn't really... I mean, I know they got a couple of picks as well, the King's Court, so maybe that was all they needed, and they knew that they'd always have the numbers advantage, and the chance of a Loki stealing pretty low, because the reality is Food Fighters didn't have anyone else really close enough to try and steal that. But this one feels like it's really spiraling out of control now. The gold lead's getting bigger and bigger. They've now got an Oni Fury to help them push. They'll be able to clean up most, if not all, of these tier 2 towers with this early fire giant. I don't mind this in response from the Food Fighters. Again, you need to split up the map, try and take some neutral gold for yourself. I think this is absolutely fine for them, but they need to make sure that a Phoenix isn't taken, because that's the good response for King's Court now. They need to recognize that all they need to do is stand in front of the Phoenix, make everyone back, and therefore they're starting to lose out on their farm. That's exactly what they've done. They made them back, and now they're going to go for the tier 2. Brilliant.
Yeah, looking at the tier 2, and I haven't checked my facts on this, but is this the first fire giant that the King's Court have had this whole set? It might actually be. Well, we'll have to check that after the fact, but what it means at the moment for the Food Fighters is they do have 5 members, 4 of them with fire giant, staring at their front door. However, Oreo, not phased by this, is going to split push on the right-hand side of the map. Like you said, split push Loki coming in to full effect. Rika with a fantastic stun onto Mad Slug there, but doesn't get any more than that. And it has forced back Joe from New York, the one member without Fire Giant. Let's see what the King's Court can do in this 4-on-4 engagement. They still have double ADC. Looking into this tier 2 tower, but it is a full defense coming out from Food Fight. There's no soft defenses here. Reika gets taunted in, but doesn't actually take all that much damage. Lakias now burns the ultra as well, but here comes Zelda with a fantastic blink ult with the Fear No Evil, slams down one already. Mad Slug falls as well. Fighting back are the Food Fighters, but there is just so much damage coming out from Elder and Sejos, who is firing off shots into Zombie Billy Mays. Cithro leaps in, but might fall down. There is coming to the backline Printers with the Defender of Olympus. Oreo sneaks in with the blink and gets the kill, but Sejos will finish them off in response. The tier 2 tower still stands up, but there are 3 members down for Food Fighters, and the King's Court can do whatever they want on this map.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to go for Pyro. They do have a wave coming, but Printers and Zombie Billy Mays are still up, so I mean, they'll probably eventually get that tier 2 anyway, but they're not too unhappy. They got another 3 picks off of that. You know, turn response for the Food Fighters is not bad. It was another good pickup from Oreo, able to kill Cithro. It's tough, because I think Oreo has done nothing wrong in this game. I think that a very, very competent jungler. The problem is Loki is just so easily countered. Elder has picked up a very early Arendite, and I think actually Elder has compromised their build by going this late Transcendence in order to get the Arendite online. That makes it really difficult for Oreo to do anything. They all knew exactly where that Loki was. The Athena on top didn't help to hide where Oreo was, but yeah, it just felt like the fight was a little split up. They got a few picks, but you know, the King's Court are still very happy with that. They know that it's early Fire Giant. They know that they don't need to push for those tier 2s right away. They've still got time. And the fact is, all the while, they've not been allowing the Food Fighters to farm effectively. And that means the gold lead hasn't changed particularly. Food Fighters haven't been able to close the deficit. And as such, when this next Fire Giant rolls around, they'll be in a similar position as they were last time. And that is still a very advantageous one.
Oh, Elder finds another angle onto Lakias, who has nothing to work with and will fall down. The beads are about to come back up. 6 seconds right now, but more importantly for Lakias, it's a 47-second death timer until they are back on the map and able to impact this. So King's Court get that all-important pick they were looking for. The Food Fighters seem more than willing to actually stand up to this. They don't want to give this Fire Giant up for free, and why not? It's still early on in the game. You have to make a fight back at some point, but Fire Giant already half HP. Food Fighters are nearby. King's Court not sure about where they're going to commit. Mad Slug steps into the base, but that will be a Fire Giant for the King's Court. And now can anyone disengage? Oreo already given up on this fight. Is already doing their job as a Loki, but Zombie Billy Mays will not be able to get away. Can they at least buy some time for their team? Gets the blink out of Joe from New York, but this split push will be interrupted as Reika has made the return to base that was required. And now King's Court again
Perfect.
have freedom of the map.
They're in such a good spot. They are playing this so cleanly. Everyone has Fire Giant. They can take down this tier 2. Not worried about mid. They're going to go straight for this right-hand side Phoenix. I really don't think there's anything to stop them. No teleport quite available for Raker, but they're just going to push right in.
Pushing right in onto this right side Phoenix. No minions to work with means that is still quite a tanky Phoenix, despite the double ADC from the King's Court. Now they have retreated for the moment to have the Chaos side, but looking to re-engage our food fighters. I think that was the beads there from Sehos used, so that's a big cooldown now off the map. If Printers can re-engage with a taunt onto this Hachi man, it'll be very much a dangerous situation for them. Looking for the taunt, doesn't get the taunt. The dash away from Sehos, but poking and prodding are the food fighters. They are not allowing the King's Court to step in for free. Finally, the frontliners want to make a way in, but it's not going well for them.
Yeah, I'm really curious, actually. It's not much at all for them. Prince has gone in, they're looking, but and the ult actually from Raker is decent, but again, nothing's really coming of this. This feels like a bit of an even slapfest with no one particularly winning out, but of course, the longer this goes on, the more your Fire Giant sustain is going to come into effect. But of course, Prince dash in, triple taunt, huge!
Great taunt! It's all a lot of them down their health bars. They're very low. Lakaya swooping up Oreo onto the backside, taking everyone down as best they can. Oreo stays alive. Cithro will not live for much longer. Fires off all their damage, but it does not matter. In one fell swoop, 4 members of the King's Court fall down, and food fighters are down, but they are certainly not out.
Triple confound from Printers was unbelievable, and you know, Elder actually had a really big opportunity there. I don't think the Fear No Evil was quite on the mark because they were all stacked up. The problem is with the taunt, everyone suddenly looked at Printers and were trying to focus the damage on them. No one was keeping an eye on Oreo, and Oreo was able to clean up in that fight. Massive play from the food fighters, really keeps them going in this game. Now everyone's going to be on parity in terms of level, in terms of items. It's a massive boon for them. They kept their Phoenix up as well, and let's be honest, the King's Court never really looked close to even touching that Phoenix, so something to rethink about, because I think they will still feel they're in a good position. They will probably get another chance at that Phoenix, maybe with a few more items online. That'll help, but they do need to be a little bit wary because that's clearly not going to work quite as well as they were hoping.
Yeah, sometimes battering that ram down the front door doesn't quite work out so well. You know, there were no minions to work with. There was no real advantage for the King's Court. They had a bit of a gold lead, which, all right, is something, but the Phoenix defense is always the great equalizer. And unfortunately there for the King's Court, I think they had a runic bomb in the pocket of Raker, but it just never seemed like they had an opportunity to put that down. So food fighters have made their big defense. They have wiped away most of the Fire Giant buffs, but they have to now do exactly that again. But by the time the King's Court looks to re-engage, it should be an enhanced Fire Giant, and that will make things all the more difficult.
Yeah, I think if you're looking to change things from that last fight, if you're the King's Court, you need to think, okay, we're missing the blink on Raker, and that's okay. I understand the beads, but what that means is you have to be very aggressive with this relic choice. So that means you have to be walking up, you have to be diving Phoenix pretty deep. And, you know, you've got to bear in mind you've got sustain from the Fire Giant you can take it back into. You need to gamble on your health bar, but this is not the way to do it. Raker very low, forced to beat already. Can they get the pick?
Lost the bees, low health. The food fighters do not commit, though, and they will have to retreat with what they have already won. But what do the food fighters do now? They are stepped up very high. There's, of course, no fire minions for them to worry about. Printers goes in again, gets a taunt onto Sehos, who does have the beads this time again. So, beads now from Zombie Billy Mays. Everyone's just losing relics left, right, and center. No more fighting to be had, but the Fire Giant is on the way.
That was actually a really good beat from Zombie Billy Mays, because that would have spelt death.
No!
Pluck onto Printers. Do they have the damage?
Printers in danger, being shredded down, has the shell, but nowhere to go. A teleport back in now, but gets interrupted, and Zombie Billy Mays will have to find another location. However, low health is Elder. Oreo had found an angle onto them. Still
they know they
assassinate. But gets punished, gets spotted out, has to try to retreat. Will retreat with their life, but does burn. the assassinate in the meantime. Mad Slug now. What's the front line for their team? Zombie Billy Mays looking to oblige them now as well. Lachias walking forward, marching with this Morgan Le Fay, but does not have enough of a way to close the distance. The King's Court somehow get away with everyone alive.
We will reset once again, and I think that's partly down
Goodness.
to tons of damage. Madstone got the crits online clearly. Raker's back though, TP'd in. Maybe looking for the ultimate, doesn't hit the stun, and that will be all. But yeah, we
My
so
goodness.
fine margins. It's a great pull onto printers. It's a blink pluck, and they do have the damage. They've got enough CC as well. That's just double hunter for you. Any tank, even the tankiest of tank, is going to feel that damage from the pluck. But it's actually the fact that Oreo took the 1v1 into Elder, forced the wild Fear No Evil out as well. Oreo is the win condition here. Oreo is managing to not necessarily find the picks, but find the 1v1s. Someone pick that up, please. And that's kind of their win condition here. The problem is, I just don't think there's enough space being created, and I don't think they're always going to have the opportunity. Great stun from Reiko, who's also taking a ton of poke in response, but Fire Giant's getting burned down, and Orio's not here.
Elder goes in, drops the Fear No Evil. The Food Fighters manage to steal away that Fire Giant, but how can they react after that? They've already lost. Zombie Billy Mays. Oreo has already given this up and wants to look for the split push, but look at the chase down onto Lachias. This Morgan Le Fay isolated and killed off. Oreo looking to take this mid lane Phoenix to make up for this lost fight so far. Printer's now caught in the Stygian Torment. Printer's now in big danger, has nowhere to get away. Cithro with the triple kill. Oreo looking for a full-on base race here. There is nobody left alive for the Food Fighters. The Titan is just sweeping away the enemy minions, and now all five members of the King's Court are stepping on in to the Food Fighters base. The base race is going, but it's going in favor of the King's Court. Oreo does fall down, but the Food Fighters will fall down as well. The King's Court win this set 2-1.
Justice has been done, because can you imagine if they'd won that game with a Loki backdoor? I could not have coped with that. And unfortunately, that wasn't the correct play, because there was still a tier 1 tower in left hand side. That is a tanky Titan that you're trying to backdoor. Maybe it's the only way you win that game, because the fights weren't going away. But maybe if Oreo had been in that fight, it goes slightly better for you. But again, we're talking about fine margins. Whether it was the correct play or not, it was just, it felt like the King's Court were always in control of that game. All the blink plucks were happening on the targets that they wanted, and they were always getting kills off of them. They always prioritized their targets really well every time. And both ADCs played particularly well. They were always next to each other, so they weren't getting picked, and they were always on the same target. And so the target they were on always died very quickly. That was a super clean game from them, I think. They played really well.
Yes. Yeah, they did a very good job that time. It was the first game where they really had a lead early, and they did manage to hold it for the rest of it. So a great showing from them. And of course, they obviously both teams had actually lost 2-0 in the last week, but King's Court now find themselves 2-1 for this first 3-week period, which is okay. You know, you don't need to win every game. It's okay to find your footing a little bit, and now hopefully they can take this performance and run with it further, because it was fantastic to watch. It was maybe not the easiest get set to play from King's Court. It's certainly much easier to play from ahead, but they just had a great showing there overall. And, you know, if I was coming up against them next week, I would not be feeling too confident, especially when I've got a 10,000 gold lead. I've taken all their Phoenixes. I might still feel like I won't be able to beat them.
Yeah, I don't think that scoreline seems to do it justice, because that did feel like a really even set, and that last game maybe wasn't reflective of that. I think credit to the Food Fighters, because they did a lot right that set. I think at times they were the better team by quite a long margin, but in the end, I think it comes down to decision making, and you know, these are higher level problems, right? These are things that once you get past, you know, god pools and the basics, you actually start looking at these more complex decision making, and actually that's where the food fighters are at. They are at that level already, and I'd expect them to improve and go up from here.
Well, it was a fantastic set, which the Kings got to eventually win out overall. But luckily, great for us and for everyone watching at home, we can sum up this entire set in just two simple words. Those words being printer's diff. I've been Judas Priestley, joined by Zats today, and in the background we have had Raptor providing all of the visuals required. It's been a great set. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and thanks of course to the Quack and Smite League for today. But that is it for today. Make sure that you tune in next time.